Welcome to Live Impact News. It is 12:30 on your Friday afternoon. I'm here, Julie Kay, with the wonderful Carlene Bragg.
Hi.
Just pulling you in for a second.
Thank
just to
you.
say hello.
No,
just
hello.
say hi, everyone. So we had a lot to get to today. Of course, I wanted to let you know that we're going to get to that Artemis 2 presser. So those of you interested in NASA's mission to test run, basically, their future presence on the moon, that's going to be going forward tomorrow. So we're going to get to that presser in just a second. But we are following news of a fire. This is in Sugar Creek. So we don't have much information yet. All we know is where it is. Structure fire in the 5100 block of Reagan Drive. So you can see it here. Fire crews there have reported fire and smoke showing on arrival, which is not a good sign. It means it's active, at least when this was reported about 20-30 minutes ago. Again, 5108 Reagan Drive. So this is a pretty busy intersection.
This is that one you get. It's right there. You get on at 85. I take this off. It's a busy one.
Yeah.
It's a busy one from lunch period to lunch on. Honestly, it's a busy one.
Multiple hotels here,
Yes.
popular fast food places. So definitely, if this is on, your lunch plans or your commute, I would stay away from this area for now. We have not gotten a crew to the scene quite yet, because again, this is just coming into our newsroom within the last 20 or 30 minutes. But we will bring you more information when we have it. But again, at this point, all we have is that location. We don't have any word yet on permanent damage to the building. If there was anyone inside, any potential injuries, none of that yet has been confirmed. So we will continue to hit that as we find out more information, hopefully pretty soon. But as I mentioned, we do want to get to, of course, the big story of this afternoon, which is the upcoming Artemis 2 launch. And as much as I love being in here with Carlene, this is a day that James really could offer his expertise.
Yes. We might call him. We might give him a call so he can weigh in.
We might call James. But from our understanding, Artemis 2 is going forward with their launch tomorrow, which is going to send 4 astronauts around the moon, giving them a good test, them being NASA, of their life support maintenance, making sure that everything is working correctly so that they can continue with their future plans of a permanent presence on the moon.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. Let's find out.
Beings behave in that same environment. The combination of these two things will help us optimize our time in future missions. We'll be flying a payload called AVATAR, which stands for a Virtual Astronaut Tissue Analog Response. Basically, AVATAR enables us to mimic individual astronaut organs, and Artemis 2 will mark the first time that these types of devices have been tested outside the Van Allen belts or away from the ISS. We will test if we can use these astronaut avatars as tools for measuring and predicting our human response to the deep space stressors. To evaluate this, scientists will compare avatar data with space station findings we've already collected, as well as with samples taken from our crew both before and after the flight. For NASA, Avatar could help inform measures to ensure crew health on future deep space missions, including personalizing medical kits for each astronaut. For citizens here on Earth, it could lead to advancements in individualized treatments for diseases such as cancer. We'll also be flying an activity called Archer, Artemis Research for Crew Health and Readiness. For the Archer study, crew members will wear movement and sleep monitors called actigraphy devices before, during, and after the mission. These wristband monitors will enable us to study real-time health and behavioral information for the crew members and help scientists study how crew members' sleep and activity patterns are affected and how overall health and performance is affected. The study will evaluate how our crew members perform individually, as a team throughout the mission, including how easily they can move around within the confined space of their capsule. We'll also measure a set of immune biomarkers. For the immune biomarker study, crew members will supply saliva samples through the flight, and they have done so on Earth and will do so when they return for comparison. Scientists will gain insights into how the astronauts' immune systems are affected by the increased stressors of the radiation environment, isolation, and distance away from Earth during deep space flights. We'll also extend a set of ISS activities to the Moon called Spaceflight Standard Measures. Astronauts will collect a set of measurements spanning multiple physiological systems to provide a comprehensive snapshot of how spaceflight affects the human body. We will conduct also physiological assessments, including testing their head, eye, and body movements before, during, and after the spaceflight, and that will be compared with blood samples that are taken before and after the flight as well. As soon as possible after landing, the crew members participate in basically an obstacle course to see how quickly they can function soon after going through a gravity transition. A few days later, they'll conduct a simulated spacewalk, and we'll do various tasks in a pressurized spacesuit again to investigate how quickly, again, they can adapt to that change in gravity. That prepares us for landing on the Moon and eventually down the road going to destinations such as Mars. During the flight, we will make measurements with a suite of radiation sensors. You may remember that we've did something similar during Artemis 1. Crew members will keep detectors in their pockets of their suits so that we can measure their individual exposure in real time during the flight. 2 other sets of sensors will also be placed in Orion. One will monitor radiation at different shielding locations in the spacecraft so that we can gain a better understanding of what the radiation protection does for our crew members on board. We will also be partnering with the Germany Aerospace Agency, or DLR, to provide sensors similar to what they provided during Artemis 1. And the crew will deploy these around the Orion, again, to give us a comprehensive view of that radiation environment. Last but not least, a very exciting aspect to it is the ability to observe the Moon. So you've heard a little bit about that already, and if we could cue up our first image here. Our crew will take time to observe the Moon as they pass around the far side of the Moon. Far side is the side of the Moon that we never see from here on Earth. The Moon will look about like holding a basketball at arm's length to them from the Orion. And if we could cue up the second image as well now, just to give another look here. Depending on when the mission launches and the final flight path, it's possible they'll see parts of the Moon that have never been viewed by human eyes. All of the Apollo missions launched for the landing to occur in the early lunar morning. A lunar day includes 14 days of sunlight, 14 days of darkness. So basically, the crew that were flying around the Moon all saw the same lighting conditions. So this could be a very unique opportunity to see the Moon. We'll be asking them to look for things like albedo differences, variations in the grayscale that human eyes really can detect. In addition to their observations, which they'll be communicating back to the Earth, our science support teams will conduct their own test flight of a sort here on the ground, testing out how our support teams work to make sure that we can best support them when they actually go land on the moon during Artemis 3 and beyond. One last piece to our Artemis 2 science activities includes the deployment of 4 international CubeSats. Could we go ahead and cue up that image? Artemis 2 mission has provided us with the opportunity to deploy 4 CubeSats. Those are basically shoebox-sized payloads that essentially act as their own spacecraft once we deploy them. Our partners in Argentina, Germany, Korea, and Saudi Arabia are all partnering with NASA to take advantage of the opportunity that we have with Artemis to fly their own CubeSats. Each has its own objectives, but in general, all of the CubeSats are conducting complementary space weather measurements to the types of research that NASA's doing. So we're excited to provide this opportunity to our partners as we lead the way in space exploration and exploration of the moon. So real quick to conclude here, our integrated research campaign for Artemis 2 builds upon what we learned in Artemis 1, and it sets the stage for successful exploration of the moon and ultimately onto Mars. Our campaign will help us understand the space weather that we'll face during future lunar missions, how to observe the moon and communicate with the support teams here on Earth, and in general, how we will react to, survive, and thrive in that deep space environment. Therefore, I like to say that Artemis 2 science is the science of us. Artemis 2 science is the science of humankind and how we'll act as we continue to press the boundaries and explore in deep space. Thank you very much. Back to you, Rachel.
All right, we'll go ahead and take questions. For those on the phone, you can get into the question queue by pressing *1. We will go around here into the room first. Please wait for the mic. And let's start here with Marcia Dunn.
Oh, hello, Marcia Dunn, Associated Press for Charlie. Given a fueling test on or around February 2nd, that is really tight by NASA standards to have a fueling tank test and then go right into a launch. Is the beginning of the February window even feasible given a February 2 launch, tanking test? And how perfectly does that test have to go for you to make any days in the February window?
We need to get through wet dress. We need to see what lessons that we learn as a result of that, and that will ultimately lay out our path toward launch. With a wet dress that is without significant issues, if everything goes to plan, then certainly there are opportunities within February that could be achievable. Yeah.
Just quickly, are you already just hoping to get to the end of the window at this point, or are the first few days of the window even possible at this point?
I think wet dress is really the driver to that, and how it goes. It would be hard to say that you could not. I mean, we do the wet dress early in February. You're going to need a little bit of time to go look at the data, but certainly it will be the driver toward LP17 opportunities.
Okay, we'll go behind to Phil Harwood.
Yeah, hi guys. Bill Harwood with CBS News. 2 quick ones. One for Jeff. I realize you guys don't have launch dates yet, like Charlie was talking about, but there's at least a chance that you could be launching Crew 12 while the Artemis 2 mission is underway. Is there a minimum separation you would like to see between one launch and the other? What are some of the issues you have to deal with as you've got simultaneous missions? And maybe for John, on the outside, we don't have the insights you guys have, but this whole point about counting down to this huge launch with Artemis 2 and then Crew 12, I mean, it almost seems like there's a rush. People that aren't involved in what you guys do might think, well, why is there such a big rush when you've got this other mission you got to get to the space station? And doesn't that kind of reflect some of the lessons from the Challenger Commission and CABE about being in a hurry to get flights off? And why is this case different from that, if that makes any sense? Thanks.
So I'll take a start. I will say this is not a rush, and I actually take quite an issue with you using that word. That's not where we're at right now, right? We are preparing to launch Artemis 2. As Charlie mentioned, we're working towards wet dress. I know the agency's preparing to launch Crew 12. there's a lot of preparation going on, but there absolutely are constraints, right? We have the TDRS network to work through. We have the various launch pads. The missions, right, it's not prudent for us to put both of those up at the same time, but we also have to ensure that both of them are ready to go. Because you guys have been in the space business long enough to know that we may run into an issue, and the last thing we want to do is make a decision too early and then lose an opportunity, right? That would not be responsible of us. So we need to keep pressing with both missions. We need to ensure we're doing that at the right speed and we're looking at the right technical constraints. And then, as we get closer, either the decision will come about because the hardware's talking to us and we have something that we need to go deal with, or we'll have to pick one. But that doesn't mean we should stop preparing for either mission right now, but we need to do that at the right pace.
Let me address the second part to Bill's question. Bill, part of my job as the MMT chair is to just watch out for what you just said. We go through numerous training simulations with Charlie and her team, with Jeff and his team, and I think I've got a good eye for launch fever, and I think I've used that probably more than I would like to during some of these simulations, because I sense that some of the team needs to take it as a learning opportunity. So with that said, the agency's looking at when to launch the next crew to station, and we're going to do our job to be ready to go fly. And I'll reiterate what I said in my opening remarks. I'm not going to tell the agency that I'm ready to go fly until I think we're ready to go fly. Now, it's not totally my decision, but I'll have an input up through my boss.
Okay, we'll go here in the front.
For John and Charlie, I'm James from Channel 6, our local reporter. So building off of Marcia's question, Artemis 1 took 8 months from rollout to launch. So could you talk about the lessons you learned the first time through this process that makes you confident that February could be feasible?
I can certainly talk about the lessons that we learned during Artemis 1 launch campaign, wet dress and launch campaign. One of the things that we learned and we worked our way through was, first off, it was a brand new vehicle. And so, as you know, we had some challenges through the wet dress, first with the LOX loading and making sure that we had the loading CONOPS that we started with and the one that we ended up with were slightly different, right? And that had to do with the fact that we were using some amount of legacy hardware, and we found that as we regulated the LOX pump, as an example, in our first 2 wet dresses, that if you think about having a single stage and an upper stage, and you have that piping that goes up the tower, as you regulated that pump and it slowed down, you would get some warm LOX that would fall into that fill stream of the core stage, and so we had some trouble getting to the right inlet temperatures there. Took us a couple of tries to figure that out. Then during wet dress 3, we had some issues with some hydrogen leaks, right? Hydrogen leaks. So we worked our way through that. We made some modifications to our ground plates. We changed the way in which we loaded hydrogen, and we got through our wet dress campaign, and then we had a issue with the replenish valve on the launch attempt number 3, where we finally launched, right? We sent a red crew out to the pad and we worked our way through that. So if I were to kind of step back from that and say, what's that biggest lesson that you learned? Well, the first one is on the LOX side of things, we learned how to load. We learned how to change our CONOPS for that. We're utilizing the same CONOPS. Once we made those changes and we worked our way through launch countdown attempt number 1, And number 3, we use that same philosophy and ConOps for Artemis 1. It worked successfully, and that's what we plan to use again. So that was a big lesson learned. The other lesson learned on the hydrogen side of things, we've made some changes to that interface between the flight plate and the ground plate. We made some changes during our Artemis 1 campaign to improve that so that we did not have leaks where you have the flex hoses and the connections on the back of the plate. We saw very good performance during launch countdown number 3 for that. The interface between what we call the cavity, where those plates come together, we saw some hydrogen leaks there. We learned that the way in which we loaded and the flow rates, the temperatures, the pressures have a whole lot to do with the leakage that we saw within the cavity. And so we modified that, and we were able to manage that through launch countdown number 3. We had the issue with the replenish valve. We went in and we made a modification post Artemis 1 to that valve, and we tested it with cryos for the replenish time frame with as many cycles as we would expect to have during Artemis 2. So why do we think that we'll be successful in Artemis 2 is it's the lessons that we learned, right? Artemis 1 was a test flight, and we learned a lot during that campaign getting to launch. And the things that we learned relative to how to go load this vehicle, how to load LOX, how to load hydrogen, have all been rolled in to the way in which we intend to load the Artemis 2 vehicle. Now, what's new, right, for Artemis 2? Well, Orion's got some new systems on board. They've got a new ECLIS system. We've got the crew interface piece of this, and we have tested those things offline to ensure that, you know, they're not influenced by the cryogenic environment of tanking, but they are used in day of launch, and they have to be used in accordance with our launch countdown and that critical timing. And so we've gone through and we've done a countdown demonstration test. We did a suited crew test before we even got to the VAB, and so we've taken this incremental approach to the testing for the new systems, and so I believe that we'll be ready for wet dress. Again, we'll see. This is our second hardware build for the core stage, so you know we'll see how it performs. We don't have the benefit of a green run, and so, but we believe all of the lessons that we've learned from Artemis 1, we have used that countdown and that philosophy as our building blocks for Artemis 2.
Okay, we'll actually go to a couple of questions from the phone. We'll start with Lauren Grush of Bloomberg.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my question. I'm just wondering if you could maybe walk us through the major technical checkouts that will need to take place once you get to the launch pad ahead of the wet dress rehearsal. And is there anything that you're keeping an eye on that you think could have a significant impact on the schedule, or is everything moving as smoothly as you'd like leading up to now?
So I'll take that one. The things that happen once we get to the pad. One of the first things that happens after we get to the pad, we get connected, is we'll do some crew access arm swings. That is about a...
All right, so you've been listening into this press conference from NASA answering questions about the Artemis 2 launch, which is still going forward with tomorrow. Again, this is a test essentially to make sure all of their equipment is up to par, and they're going to be sending 4 astronauts around the moon, not landing on it yet. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News, just a few minutes away from 1 p.m. on your Friday. And we're going to get right back out to the big story of the day, which is the Artemis II launch potentially tomorrow. This is NASA now discussing and answering questions for reporters.
To make my decision relative to giving her my go or no go, I would like to have consistency. I'll tell you, a lot of times in our sims, we have complicated problems that aren't black or white, and so we do have varied opinions across the team, but at the end of the day, it's up to me to manage the decision that we make and send it forward to Charlie. Relative to the heat shield, we started that work back when I had my old job, before I got this job, and so I was paying attention to it then, but even more so now. We're changing, and I'm going to pass it to Jeff on this in just a minute, but just from my perspective, I think we've done the work, the analysis and the testing to show that we're in good shape for the mission profile that Jeff and his team have planned. You want to add anything, Jeff?
So what I'll say is, through the testing that we've done after Artemis 1 and the work that we've done here on the ground, we understand the limitations of the heat shield on Artemis 2, and it's incumbent upon us to fly within those limitations. So things that we've changed, right? We've changed the entry profile so that we're flying a profile that the heat shield can handle. And we're also ensuring that we launch on a day where the demands of the heat shield are lower. And so, really that turns into a range requirement to fly, not the 4,000 miles of entry that we flew on Artemis 1, but the 1,775 miles of entry that we're flying on Artemis 2. And so, the heat shield, yes, we understand there's some limitations with it, and so from a mission design perspective, we're making sure that we fly within those limitations, and that's how we're going to keep the crew safe. We're going to make sure that we're staying within the bounds of the hardware, and I think as John mentioned, the heat shield is being I don't want to say redesigned, but it's being updated for Artemis 3 to try and get back to that longer range requirement that we'll be able to meet for those future Artemis missions. But for Artemis 2, of course, we've got that lower range, which is why we have fewer launch opportunities. That we're making Charlie's life a little bit harder by not having as many days we can launch on. But that's the right thing to do to keep our crew safe.
Okay, let's go here to Irene.
Thanks very much. Irene Klotz with Aviation Week and Space Technology. For Jeff and then also for John, obviously you hope to not test the launch abort system, but in case it is needed, could you kind of run through some of those scenarios and what you've trained for, what is kind of possible, what is still like areas that perhaps are not covered? And for John, what's the overall risk for this mission for the crew, and is it that risk still more for launch, or at this point is reentry equal or greater risk? Thanks.
I'll answer the second part now. Anytime you got this much energy that you're putting into a system like this, and a lot of dynamic events, there is some risk. It's our job to either understand those risks and make sure that we've mitigated those in a way that we feel comfortable with and we can execute the mission. As Jeff said, though, this is a first time with crew. There's been some. We're flying a lot of new pieces to the configuration this time. Team, all that's gone through all the reviews. All those need to work. Jeff and his team done an outstanding job developing flight rules that give us the ability to respond quickly to any kind of off-nominal situations once we leave the launch pad and then get into the mission. And then, as Jeff mentioned a minute ago, the dynamic event of hitting the entry interface and then coming back into the Earth's atmosphere is obviously one that's where you put a lot more energy into the system. So I would say I don't prioritize either one of those over the other one, but from an overall perspective, that's just part of cheating gravity. Jeff.
So as far as launch aborts, right, we've got abort coverage, from pre-launch there when the capsule's on the pad, all the way through, core stage flight. If we were to have an issue, and obviously you're right, we don't want to have one, but if we did have one that would require the crew to take the last abort, that is an option to them the whole way through until we jettison the last. After we jettison the last, at that point, we still have aborts where Orion would separate from the ICPS and then use the Orion engines actually to perform the aborts off of the core stage. And so it's really set up such that they always have an abort option. It's going to be a fair amount of G's. If they have to ride the last, of course the boosters will still be burning at that point when the last engines ignite and pull the Orion off the top. But it's a case where the crew will survive and we'll get them home, and we'll be able to go on and get them home safe.
Take one in the back.
I feel the excitement too. It's a great day. Greg Redfern with WTOP Radio up in Washington, D.C. 2 questions. 1, if you can't make this launch window by April, when would be the next one? And the second one, a little lunar science. You're shooting for a lunar full phase on the far side, but what would be your limit if you can't make that as to the lunar illumination that you'd like? Thank you very much. And light that candle.
For the lunar science, I'll say that the lighting conditions on the far side of the moon are not going to be criteria for determining when we launch. So what we have done is make sure that the astronauts are trained to provide us with observations regardless of the lighting environment. Now, I will say they have probably pretty much looked through what the options might look like, and they probably have their favorite. But again, we're going to launch when it's safe and we're ready, and we're going to do the best science that we can under those conditions.
All right, and so with respect to launch periods, rolling out, when we roll out, as you know, we do not have full access to everything at the pad. But one of the new capabilities that we did add for Artemis 2 is something called contingency pad access. And what that allows us to do is to go in and do a retest. It's an abbreviated retest of the flight termination system, and that plays into that 28 and 35-day requirement that we have with the range. So unlike Artemis 1, where we rolled out and we had a single month of opportunity and you had to come back to the VAB to retest the FTS system, we actually have a new capability for Artemis 2 that allows us to stay out at the pad for 2 launch periods. So we can retest that, and you get 2 launch periods when you go out. Now, that is saying that if you don't have some issue come up that you require rollback for. So that would get us through 2 launch periods. There is it's a bit of a puzzle, I would say, in terms of, it depends on why you scrubbed, what kind of, what you need to repair, and if you choose to roll back, and then what that turnaround time is. But we roughly, to answer your question, we have opportunities in just about every month. It does vary. The number of days varies by monthly opportunity, but it's roughly somewhere in a little less than a week. Some months it's a little less than that, maybe 3-4 days, but we have opportunities every month.
Okay, we have time for just one more question here. Yes, you. Yes, you. Yeah.
Hi, Josh, dinnerspace.com. Barring any major malfunctions or mishaps, what milestones during Artemis 2 must go right in order to greenlight Artemis 3 to proceed as the program's first lunar landing mission?
Well, certainly I would think we're going to have we'll have some things that we have to deal with, and we'll have to evaluate those and maybe do some course correction for Artemis 3. But, in my opinion, doing the checkout of the systems with the crew on board and getting the crew home safely, that's the big milestone.
Are there any condition components like proximity operations where maybe the Orion experiences a hiccup, but still is qualified for that sort of maneuverability?
You know, specific to proc stops, I think we have great confidence in our capability to model that. After all, you know, we fly other space vehicles in proc stops all the time. We're docking to ISS fairly regularly. So, you know, if we have an issue with proc stops, you know, that's something I think we'd have to understand why, right? What was the cause of the issue? And as John said, understand the hiccup. But I wouldn't say that would necessarily, you know, disqualify the systems. I think the understanding there is what's important for what occurred.
All right, and that's all we have time for today. I want to thank our participants for being here today. You can watch live views of rollout starting tomorrow at 7 a.m. as the rocket and spacecraft roll out of the vehicle assembly building. That'll be at 7 a.m. And then at 9 a.m. Eastern, we will have an opportunity to hear from NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman as well as the Artemis II crew. You can watch both on NASA's YouTube channel. And with that, thank you for joining us.
All right, so that was the end of that press conference from Artemis II. NASA answering questions about their rollout of that moon rocket going forth for tomorrow before the launch in the future. So lots of questions still remain. You can also see in the bottom right-hand corner President Donald Trump about to depart for Florida. So we're following a lot of stories, hopefully going to hear from him very soon. So stick with us just in 2 minutes. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Live Impact News. It's 1:09, and as I mentioned, President Donald Trump is about to leave to go to Palm Beach, but he did get a chance to speak with reporters, so here's that clip from just a few minutes ago.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you explain how you view, your great healthcare plan will impact Americans' health insurance premiums?
It's going to be it is a tremendous plan. It's called the Great Healthcare Plan. And we're going to get tremendous reductions, as you know, through, if you look at medicines and prescription drugs, they're going to come down by numbers that have never been seen before. and we're doing that by most favored nations. And other nations, whoever pays the lowest in the world, that's what we're going to pay. Right now, we're paying sometimes 10 times higher than other nations. So we have favored nations. That's been approved. Other nations have, for the most part, agreed to it, and they had no choice. Otherwise, we were going to put tariffs on them. The health care plan that we're coming, the money's going to be paid directly to the people. So it goes directly, not to the companies, not to the insurance companies. It's going to go directly to the people, and the people are going to buy their own health care. They'll get much better health care at a much reduced cost.
Mr. President, pull out of NATO if it doesn't help you acquire Greenland. If it doesn't lead the way.
Well, we're going to see. NATO has been dealing with us on Greenland. We need Greenland for national security very badly. If we don't have it, we have a big hole in national security, especially when it comes to what we're doing in terms of the Golden Dome and all of the other things. We have a lot of investments in military. We have got the strongest military in the world, and it's only getting stronger. And you saw that with Venezuela. You saw that with the attack on Iran, with the knocking out their nuclear capability potentially. So, yeah, we're talking to NATO.
Mr. President. Not militarily.
Sorry, guys, you cannot push too much. I don't talk about that.
Mr. President.
You urged protesters in Iran earlier this week to keep fighting in the streets and said that help was on the way. Is help still on the way, or has your bar
Well, we're
for
going to see.
intervention
As you
changed?
know, Iran canceled the hanging of over 800 people. They were going to hang over 800 people yesterday, and I greatly respect the fact that they canceled that.
Mr. President, Prime Minister Carney is in China. Prime Minister Carney is in China. How do you see the deals? Canada and China have just signed trade deals between the two partners.
Well, that's okay. That's what he should be doing. I mean, it's a good thing for him to sign a trade deal. If you can get a deal with China, you should do that.
Election in Venezuela.
Did Arab and Israeli officials convince you to not strike Iran?
Nobody convinced me. I convinced myself. You had yesterday scheduled over 800 hangings. They didn't hang anyone. They canceled the hangings. That had a big impact.
Yesterday you accepted Maria Machado's Nobel Prize medal. What do you intend to do with it, and why would you want someone else's Nobel Prize?
Well, she offered it to me. I thought it was very nice. She said, you know, you've ended 8 wars, and nobody deserves this prize more than in history than you do. And I thought it was a very nice gesture. And by the way, I think she's a very fine woman, and we'll be talking again. Say it?
What's the trigger for the Insurrection Act in Minnesota? What are you waiting for?
Well, the Insurrection Act, which has been used by 48% of the presidents as of this moment, the Insurrection Act also, if you look at it, I believe it was Bush, the elder Bush, he used it, I think, 28 times. It's been used a lot. And if I needed it, I'd use it. I don't think there's any reason right now to use it. But if I needed it, I'd use it. It's very powerful.
President Trump, you just called Machado a very nice person. You said the meeting went well. Why align with Delcy Rodriguez and the remnants of the Maduro regime and not with Machado, who has the support of the Venezuelan people?
Well, if you ever remember a place called Iraq where everybody was fired, every single person, the police, the generals, everybody was fired, and they ended up being ISIS. Instead of just getting down to business, they ended up being ISIS. So I remember that. But I'll tell you, I had a great meeting yesterday by a person who I have a lot of respect for, and she has respect, obviously, for me and our country. And she gave me her Nobel Prize. But I'll tell you what, I got to know her. I never met her before, and I was very, very impressed. She's a really, this is a fine woman.
Where are you going? The March for Life is next week.
Yes.
And some pro-lifers are worried about your support for the Hyde Amendment. What do you tell them?
Well, you know what I tell them? You're going to hear about it because I just taped a beautiful piece for them, and they're going to play it. And those are great people. I want to tell you, they're great people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, that was just a few minutes ago when President Donald Trump was speaking to reporters. Now this is a live look at the plane leaving for Palm Beach. So we're going to have more on that, more on what he's doing there in just a bit. But for now, take another quick break, so stick with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News. Julie Kay here in the studio with Carlene. It's 1:17, so I want to get back to some local news. This morning, actually, Jane Monreal got a chance to speak in here with Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden. We get a chance to speak with him pretty often, usually about once a week, but this week in particular, very interesting because the petition to get him removed from office was just dismissed in court. So here's that, and he does discuss that, which is very interesting.
Massive federal immigration enforcement operations. They're unfolding in Minnesota, where 3,000 officers have been deployed in what Minnesotans are describing as an unprecedented show of force. Joining us to discuss this and other developments around Mecklenburg County, Sheriff Gary McFadden. And of course, yesterday, Sheriff, a judge dismissed a petition seeking your removal from office. So that ruling also coming down here the pipeline. It didn't follow proper legal procedures, and yesterday on your way out of the court you said that nothing surprises you anymore, right?
No, nothing surprises me. This is the era of social media, and we should all understand that it is an election time and people are going to do whatever they need to do to seek these offices or remove these offices. So we know it was an undermining tactic, and so we are happy that the judge ruled in the way that he did. So we're going to move forward and just respect the process or processes that happen and move forward. So we were glad the judge saw what was going on.
Yeah, you said that. You wanted to respect the process, and whatever out of this investigation into this petition comes out, you're just going to leave it to the investigators and SBI. Now, your focus to move ahead, though, you've been able to do that through and since the decision.
Well, yes, we've always moved forward through all of the crisis. And you think about, under my leadership, I led through COVID. We led through Black Lives Matter movement. We led through the civil arrest of George Floyd and Tyrese Nichols. And so when I say that we just move forward, we have to have a leader that can continually to battle through all of this. And this is what leadership is about, battling through the times that even when people come against you, you stand firm and just trust or respect the process. If the process is done fairly, we're all for that. We just wanted to respect the process through this petition.
And so, I mean, yesterday as well, your attorney arguing that the petition needed the DA, the approval of that. Do you believe that this was just procedural technicality, if questions are going to still linger from your constituents?
Well, it is always going to linger. Things are always going to linger. Everybody doesn't love the sheriff. Everybody doesn't agree with the sheriff. So we understand that this is an ongoing fight. My fight began December 3rd in 2018, 30 minutes after I was elected. I was targeted by ICE and immigration through an interview. So my entire career as the sheriff has been a battle, but through these battles we became a better sheriff and we became a better agency. So, it's not that we welcome the battles, but we actually understand the battles.
You've been busy since I saw you last, between the detention center, Jail North, last week, as well as the Sarah Stevenson forum earlier this week with other candidates. Working and balancing, trying to do what you need to do as sheriff of Mecklenburg County, as well as deal with the primary, less than 60 days away. How do you do all that?
Well, you take it under, some people say take it under advisement. So you have to be built for this. We're going to be targeted as elected leaders no matter what we do. I clearly understand that. And how we balance it is that we know that most of this is election rhetoric. Most of this is undermined by people working at the sheriff's office, or people who have left, the majority who left the sheriff's office, and they want to see something else different. So we understand that. Battling it is very difficult because most people don't understand that it not only affects me, it affects my family. And when it affects my family, then it affects my family's friends. But it also affects my staff, because my staff members can't go to the mall or go to the grocery store wearing a uniform, or if they find out that they are working for the sheriff's office, they get questioned by the public. So it is a very difficult life to live, but this is the life that I have lived for 40 plus years, or 4 decades in Charlotte. So I don't always welcome it, but I do expect it to happen continuously.
Let's talk about ICE. You said that you came into your position, and ICE sort of being your following or part of your legacy, and now that we're seeing it on a national scale, of course they came, federal agents, to Charlotte not too long ago, and now everything that's happening in Minnesota. I want to shift here to what's happening nationally. Unprecedented federal immigration officers now in Minnesota. What is your response to that? How are you talking? I know you talk to other law enforcement around the country. What's the conversation like that you can tell us?
Well, the conversation is that we're looking like a third world country. And I want to make sure that we distinguish the two. ICE and CBP are two different entities of the Department of Homeland Security. And so what we're seeing in, I believe, in Minnesota is CBP. I'm not sure about ICE. I know about Border Patrol in Minneapolis. I've had conversations all over the country as of yesterday, and we are talking about what is going on. Chiefs and sheriffs are having a difficult time maneuvering through this, even locally. I have conversations with local authorities and local lawmakers and even local citizens. They are very, very much concerned. They are terrified here in Mecklenburg County about Border Patrol coming back, and who will stand up for our citizens. How much can law enforcement intervene, if they can intervene, or can we have a conversation about what Border Patrol is going to do when they arrive here? We were thinking about just having a meeting of the department heads, law enforcement, about what are we going to do, how are we going to protect our citizens. What we're seeing in Minneapolis and Minnesota is unbelievable, and it is probably going to be worse. I had a conversation with a citizen prior to the young person getting shot in Minneapolis or Minnesota, And, you know, I said, somebody else will get shot. And the next morning, somebody was shot. But it was a shot in the leg, but they've still been shot. So we need to understand what is going on, which we don't understand. Why is it happening? Because when we hear the media say violent criminals, yes, every law enforcement wants violent criminals away from their cities. We could help remove these violent criminals if we had a plan. It doesn't look like there is any plan in any of these cities the way that Border Patrol is operating.
So the question then is, what can citizens do, not only around the country, but certainly here in Mecklenburg County, if you're talking about people being concerned that federal agents might be coming back?
Well, the first thing to do is know your rights. Know your rights, what you can do, you can't do. You know, if someone's coming to search your property, you ask for the proper documentation. If they have a search warrant, or you could give consent to search. And then you have to understand, if you give them consent to search, they're going to search. So I think that the citizens need to know their rights, know what their do's and don'ts. Do not interfere with anything that law enforcement is doing. That is the main thing. Do not get so close to law enforcement or involved in what they're doing, because they may misunderstand your stance and you may misunderstand their stance. So that's one thing. Do not get involved in any arrests or anything like that.
Then can you refuse entry to federal agents without a warrant? And can you record these encounters? What are rights and rules?
You can record. You can record at a distance, record safely, and if they do not have the authorization to come inside your home or your business through judicial order, then that is something that you're going to have to look at and consider. You know, I can say, well, you can't do this and can't do that, but whatever happens in that moment, you're going to have to justify it and articulate it in court.
Let's talk about here in Mecklenburg County and the current policy with ICE. Where are you with ICE regarding cooperation and Border Patrol?
Well, let me say this again. There has never been not cooperation with ICE. That is just what I classified as a word salad with a lot of politicians and citizens. North Carolina General Statute, I'm going to put that on a t-shirt one day. North Carolina General Statute 162.62 mandated every sheriff, all 100 sheriffs in North Carolina, Democrat, Republican, black, white, independent, to cooperate with ICE. We have always cooperated with ICE. You will never hear a judicial official who is honest, or a lawmaker who is honest, or a law enforcement officer who is honest to say Sheriff McFadden has not followed the law. We've always followed the law. So our relationship and communication with ICE since October 17th has been good. ICE still operates here in Mecklenburg County under their guidelines. We haven't had a confrontation with them. The policy and the procedures that we put in place and agreed upon has worked very well. ICE removed several people from the detention center and also the courthouse with no problem, because they came and listened to what we need to do to make our city safe, make our citizens safe, and make our courthouse and detention center safe. So as far as ICE, we have cooperation. Yet to this day, to this very minute, we have not had a conversation with Border Patrol. We are still asking for that conversation, for understanding, so if they do arrive here, we will work better together.
If your position has, evolved since you took office and took the position as sheriff, I should say, how has it evolved dealing with things escalating across the country, that we're, the scenes that we're seeing, a little bit of it happening here with Border Patrol in the Charlotte area? Where do you see this play out?
Well, my stance has always been the same stance: cooperation and follow the law. So nothing has changed from that. The only reason that it had involved a little bit more is because when I sent the letter to ICE, this new leadership listened. This new leadership was willing to have a conversation face to face. So we moved to where we have better conversation, collaboration, and communication. That is all I've ever asked for each time that I requested that. Now, moving forward, we have no idea how this is going to play out now. If we look at these other cities, it is a third world country. We are fighting every night. We are fighting fighting every morning. So hopefully that does not happen here, but what we see is going on, it could happen here. All we're asking for is to have a conversation, let us know the boundaries, let us know what you're going to do, and so we want to involved where we can have a better relationship with Border Patrol or have a relationship with Border Patrol. But it is uncertain at this point.
All right, with that uncertainty, though, in the folks here in Mecklenburg County, really the greater Charlotte Metro, how are we supposed to go day by day?
Well, I think that for the first time, the citizens of Mecklenburg County is experiencing the same thing that our undocumented and immigrant community have feared the whole time, fear. Now everyone's are in fear, and that's different from being scared. And so it is very hard to say what we should do moving forward because we're moving into a part of unknown. We don't know. But I can tell you that we need to still have conversations, meetings, and have a plan of action for when Border Patrol does come back, we'll have a plan of action.
Also looking forward then again to the election, and now that that petition is behind you, you also have the hearing in front of the General Assembly next week. How are you preparing for that?
Well, we were asked to produce a multitude of documents, and all of those documents have been produced to the committee. So now we are preparing for this hearing. But the hearing should not have been targeted towards the sheriff's office because we don't do certain law enforcement actions in Mecklenburg County. The Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office is not what they call a full-service sheriff's office. And what does that mean? We do not answer 911 calls. So we don't go into community and answer domestic violence calls or calls for service. That is directed to CMPD and the surrounding townships in their jurisdiction. So when we talk about the light rail, that should have been under the CMPD umbrella. But of course, you know, we are in a political era. You know, they want to talk to the sheriff of Mecklenburg County, and they have a chance to ask me a barrage of questions. So we prepared for that, but we stand with our brothers and sisters across the street, CMPD. If they're saying we want you to do more, we'll provide more funding, and we will also answer 911 calls and get more involved in the traditional law enforcement here in Mecklenburg County. We don't have a problem with it. If they want to fund it and they want to support it, this is maybe the time to have the conversation while we're in Raleigh and not just say you didn't do this and you didn't do that. If they want more law enforcement, then find the funding, pass the budget, because North Carolina is still the only state in the United States has not passed a budget. That is a significant problem, and we need to ask, why hasn't that happened? And if they pass the budget, and if you want to put funding in for Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office to do more in law enforcement and traditional law enforcement duties, we will well accept that.
Sheriff Gary McFadden, thank you as always for joining us here in the Live Impact Studio. Hope to see you after, or perhaps before, your hearing
You'll
next
see me
week
before.
with state leaders. All right, appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we do want to mention, of course, that we have reached out to Representative Carla Cunningham's office. We have not gotten a response yet based on the things that Sheriff McFadden said in this. But again, that petition has been dismissed, so it will not be going forward. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News just past 1:30. We've actually got a live shot here from California Governor Gavin Newsom. He's in San Francisco right now discussing affordable housing, homelessness, and mental health resources.
He appointed are rejecting this administration and its policies. So I cannot impress upon you more. I may be generous with that grade of F.
Governor, when was the last time you spoke with him?
It was that night before he federalized 4,000 National Guard, sent 700 active duty Marines, not overseas, but to the second largest city in the United States. And in the ensuing months, we've seen BORTAC teams, people dressed up, tactical gear, Apache helicopters, descending the streets all across America, masked men, without providing identification, and we're in court on that. I was proud to sign the first anti-masking bill in this country. He is trying to stoke a civil war in this country. It is a disgrace what he's doing in Minneapolis. It is a disgrace what he's doing all across the United States of America, terrorizing communities. It is a disgrace what his Department of Homeland Security is putting out. I mean, these ads evoking the worst, the 1930s, very intentionally stoking tensions, white supremacy being promoted actively by this administration, the corruption and graft, the likes of which we've never seen in modern history, modern world history. Modern world history. And I can give you chapter and verse on that. None of this is normal, and it cannot be normalized. So we take it very seriously. 53 lawsuits and counting, overwhelming success in terms of our litigation posture, very aggressive in calling this out, drawing lines literally, not just figuratively. Once again, another example of overreach by the Trump administration, suing us and suing the people of California for Prop 50, only to once again be rejected in that 2-1 decision that came out this week. There's not enough time, you don't have enough tape for me to walk through just what he's done in the last week, not only in the last month and last year. So, no.
Is there a contingency plan for the state if and when we see protests like we did back in June? Or
of course. We game all that out. I'm working, and I'll answer that, and it's a good segue. We have and you've seen some podcasts with other governors where we've publicly been able to engage, comparing notes. Privately, we do that very consistently. Governor Walz and I back and forth last few days. The mayor, Minneapolis as well, at all levels. I mean, this is code red in this country. It's not flashing yellows. It's code red in the United States of America. It's the 250th anniversary of our founding fathers this year. We're going to be celebrating in July. Best of the Roman Republic, Greek democracy, co-equal branches of government, the rule of law, not the rule of Don. And so I hope it's dawning on every single damn person, Republicans and Democrats, what we are up against. We will lose our republic unless we don't speak out. And so I just applaud people that are peacefully protesting. I applaud people of courage and conviction. Applaud these governors and mayors for standing firm, advocates for doing the same peacefully, using the rule of law, due process, the courts. I plead with the American people to wake up to what's going on. We have that chance. Take back the House of Representatives and take back the Senate if we do our job. Popular sovereignty. We do our job, and so I'm going to try to do my part. I've got a year left, and continue to do my part as a private citizen, and I hope we all do as well.
Would you consider deploying the National Guard to protect citizens against ICE officers?
Well, we've always, let me step back. From the first week I was in office, I deployed the National Guard, 294 National Guard to the border. I had one of the largest deployments in California history during 2 incidents that occurred, 2 issues that that precipitated that distribution, or rather deployment of the National Guard. That was during some of the unrest that we were experiencing, and sort of peak COVID and the unrest in the streets in Southern California, and recently over 3,000 to help with fire recovery in Southern California. We have rattlesnake teams that have deployed that are doing prevention work, fire prevention work throughout the state. We have task forces. We have National Guard representatives working on counter-narcotics here in San Francisco and throughout the region in the Bay Area. JAGs helping support the DA's office and others. So the question is, do I support deploying the National Guard when and if necessary, depending on criteria and conditions? When and if necessary, depending on criteria and conditions. So I won't speculate beyond that what that would look like, but only as necessary.
Governor, another question on this, Governor. We obviously are hearing the big commitment coming from the state. We lower the commitment that comes from the state. Do you expect any federal dollars to come to help these governments?
I mean, the president moved forward. They said the private thing out loud with their cuts to behavioral health. And I just want to remind you, every time there's a mass shooting, what is the one thing they fall back on? It's not the gun, it's mental health. You know where their priorities are. It was reflected. They were just humiliated, and there was such backlash that they had to stand down on that promotion of those significant behavioral health cuts. He is trying to dismantle many different federal agencies. We've seen what he's done to the Department of Education. You see what he's doing in real time to FEMA. And he's doing the same to HUD as we know it. So no, I don't expect they will do anything but use this issue as a cudgel to advance their political agenda, but not an open hand, always a closed fist. I'm sorry.
Are you open to your statements that you're trying to head off the proposed wealth tax? What would a compromise look like to you that you might?
I don't know what there is to compromise. It's a badly drafted effort. It's already had an outsized impact on the state. It does not support our public educators, does not support our teachers and counselors, our librarians. It doesn't support our first responders and firefighters. It doesn't support the general fund and parks. Forgive me on that. I also want to highlight, and I'll get back to your question, MLK Day is coming up. Donald Trump decided to make MLK Day Donald Trump Day. And you couldn't, and you're not now able to go into federal parks for free. MLK Day now been shifted to Trump Day. Again, what more evidence do we need on what the hell is going on in the United States of America? MLK Day in California, we are announcing today we're making 200 parks in California free on MLK Day. We're also celebrating 100th anniversary of Black History Month in February. And we're very proud that we were able to fundraise privately to offset the costs of the general fund for free access to 200 parks across the state. Just wanted to highlight that. That is not supported in the current proposal that's out on the streets. So we'll see where it all lands. I've been pretty clear at a state level. This is not something that will allow us to be competitive. The LAO just spelled it out. Detail, it's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars a year in reduced revenue to the state, which put enormous pressure on those same programs that we highlighted earlier. It may have its populist appeal as a headline. I deeply understand that. And I get the politics of it intimately. We've been on the receiving end of that. But read the initiative, understand what it does at a state level, and also reflect on the overwhelming opposition, including from many folks in labor. I don't speak for labor, but they have spoken to me, leaders of many unions, in their opposition of this idea that is just beginning to get a few signatures.
So funded in the budget or by the state legislature, you see a lot of these ballots proposed and that's sort of funded.
I mean, there's no, where's the money going to come from? Come on. No, it doesn't.
Are you open to any other revenue-generating proposals to prevent millions of people from falling?
Yeah, I continue to grow the economy. $42.3 billion of new revenue just flew in to the general. No, I want to repeat that. $42.3 billion of revenue we didn't expect last year. I mean, the revenue generators are our small businesses and entrepreneurs and innovators that are out there, and taking risks and making it go with things. And so I'm very proud of that. I want to keep that moving. And you saw the December numbers were even better. I mean, that number is even higher. And so I hope that momentum continues January, February, March. And I just think that's the approach we need to be taking is sort of invest in our economic engines. It's reflected in our R&D tax credits, reflected in my budget for higher education, where we're substantially increasing our investments as the federal government's decreasing their investments into higher education. We're increasing them, which is part of our formula for success. And so that conveyor belt for talent is ways where we can generate the conditions where we can continue to thrive, grow our budgets, grow our revenue, grow our economy.
Can you talk about what you're doing to oppose the billionaire tax proposal?
I mean,
you're raising money.
I'm not. No, look, I have a big agenda this next year, and I've just said what I think, and I've been consistent for years and years on this. At a state level, this is what I fear. That it will put us in a very uncompetitive position, and I think there's some evidence to bear fruit to that. And this particular initiative is just really badly drafted in the context of supporting all those other causes that I hold dear, that I've been advocating for, that I've been supporting and promoting, expanded child care and preschool for all, and the work I'm doing, high-dose tutoring and community schools. Those are not included in this. And I just think that's substance abuse treatment is not, housing is not. And so those things matter, and so on every level. So I just expressed that. I can't solve for everything. I just raised $118 million on Prop 50, and we laid out some of our agenda and the state of the state, and I have an OKR process that no one wants to hear more about. They're smiling because it drives my agencies and department heads crazy. Those are objectives and key results. It's what we measure every month, and it literally, no more exciting meetings than the ones we have together going through OKR. So we have a big agenda, and I just have a strong opinion on this.
You said that the state absolutely cannot backfill the kinds of cuts that we're anticipating from HR 1 from the federal government.
I don't know many states that can.
Right. So is there any kind of revenue generator, any kind of tax fee or other revenue generator that would help?
We're gonna be creative. We're gonna continue to look for ways to plug gaps. We saw some of the work we did in Planned Parenthood as an example. There's strategies. There's opportunities. There's reforms. There's reforms that are underway. There's new strategies that we're considering, consolidations and efficiencies and opportunities are reflected. There's also a need and desire to continue to advocate for the kind of reforms that can take place today if Congress would just move. Let me give you a specific example of that. That can extend the subsidies under Obamacare, which would directly impact the state of California. More than any other state, we've been impacted by 3.4 million folks. So that's an example. And so getting Congress to do their job, getting the House of Representatives to, do their job. By the way, they're doing it on NSF funding, NIH funding. They're doing it in some other areas where they're rejecting some of these budget cuts from Trump. They're finally waking up. I think they're just trying to, it's out of desperation because they know they're likely to lose their job if they don't. So those are all other areas and avenues and opportunities. It should just be an automatic default to just start, I don't know. I said enough.
Governor, you vetoed a bill that Mayor Lurie supported that would allow
I vetoed 100
cities
bills.
to spend more state funding on sober housing.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something you're open to revisiting if Mayor Lurie brings it back to you, or do you think the state already has rules that
Well, you saw my veto message.
Yes.
So you know the answer to the question.
But if they bring it back to you...
You saw my veto message. So you know the answer to that question. My point is they can use HAP money. They can use all these other resources. They can use the flood of the zone of other resources we've had. So, and I made that clear to Daniel when we had our conversation. And I think the author, Haney, right?
Yeah.
Says, yeah.
Governor, the LAO takes a less optimistic view than you have on the budget. I'm sure you've seen their analysis, not taking into account some of the volatility you've mentioned with the AI boom Since we haven't got a chance to ask you about the budget until now, do you have a response to the LAO?
I mean, every year it's the same kabuki. I mean, I've just been doing this too long, Jeremy. It's the nature of it. We go through this process every year, and we always land pretty, much aligned. We show a decline below average of revenue. They're showing a big precipitous decline because they think the market's going to collapse. I don't want to overstate. I don't want to use their language. You have their language. So that's fundamentally the difference on the revenue. Theirs is deeply pessimistic. Ours is marginal. I don't think there's been a lot of evidence since they put out their first forecast that we're wrong, and there hasn't been as much evidence that I imagine they were hoping for that they're right. That said, something could happen, a black swan event on Monday, and you'll be coming back to me saying, yeah. So that's what May's about. You make these adjustments, and don't think for a second I'm static looking at the budget assuming anything. We're assuming we game all this stuff out. I'll be submitting a balanced budget that structurally addresses these issues in the out years, which I've said very clearly in the State of the State, and I've said this over the years. And that's what we do every year. LAO does a great job, and finance team does a great job. We are privy to a little more contemporary information at times. We always put out a little later. It's one advantage ultimately we have. We also understand the cost pressures in a way that the LAO is not privy to in real time. But they are absolutely right about the structural problems in the state. And they're absolutely right, the legislature and the governor's office, but working in partnership with the legislature, needs to address those issues. And I gave you the three-legged stool. It's not an exclusive list, and it's not an indictment of those programs. I've been biggest promoter back to my days as mayor of IHSS. Big promoter of DDS. I put out the master plan for reforms, and we've been investing in that space. But there's certain realities that we have to address, and solve for this year. I can get out of Dodge, so I took care of it. But that's not the way I'm going to leave this for the next governor. We have to deal with that +1 in a meaningful way. And that's my commitment, and that's what will be reflected in May's budget. Thank you all very much, and thank you for the water.
Preston, please hold. Thank you.
Let's go. Let's go.
All right, that was California Governor Gavin Newsom in San Francisco right now discussing affordable housing, homelessness, and mental health resources, all big things, all big discussions in San Francisco in particular. Take another quick break, but we'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back. We're just a few minutes shy of 2 p.m. I know the big discussion right now is it going to snow this weekend in the Carolinas? That would be a huge deal. So we've got our Larry Sprinkle here to walk us through the forecast for this weekend.
Hi, this is Larry Sprinkle. Good Friday afternoon. Check it out. It's a sunshine-filled day today as we take a view from Monroe all the way over to Lake Norman. Looking good right there. Over in K-Town at Kannapolis and uptown Charlotte. A few fair weather clouds out there. It was a bitterly cold morning this morning. Low temperature over in Albemarle in Stanley County dropped to 12 degrees there. It hit 15 in Monroe, Union County. It was 17 this morning in Lincoln. Boone dropped to 16 degrees. Jefferson 12. In those areas with the wind chill felt like about 0 there. And a low officially in Charlotte, 19 degrees this morning. That's a whole different situation tomorrow. Clouds are going to move in. It's going to keep those temperatures pretty moderate compared to this morning. Our low should be tomorrow morning compared to about 19 degrees, about 35. 35 overnight to the Concord. It'll top out today in the mid-40s over there. Low about 27 at Boone tonight, right around 33 over Chester, and right at the freezing mark over in Anson County and Wadesboro, North Carolina. For today, we're talking about temperatures locally for the most part mid to upper 40s, up in the mountains 35 for a high temperature hour by hour around 3 o'clock this afternoon, mid 40s around 7 p.m. If you're out and about under moonlit skies, fair skies, we're looking about 40 degrees at that time. Winds today, it'll be rather breezy. We're not talking about anything exceptional. We're talking about winds maybe gusting up to about 20, 25 miles per hour right into the afternoon across the region. Today it's going to be sunny, it's going to be chilly. Tomorrow early rain chance in the morning. That's all rain. And then Sunday, there could be a wintry mix, a few flurries packed in there, not talking about anything of any magnitude. There's some excitement for sure. We'll take a look at Futurecast and show you what's going on Futurecast-wise. This Sunday morning at 8 a.m., that's model number 1. Model number 2 does include some precipitation, and across the Charlotte area, maybe kind of a wintry mix in there. Could be a few snowflakes. So difference in the two models always has been, always will be. So we're not talking about a lot of accumulation, a trace to maybe a 1/10 of an inch. That's not very much. I think as you go up towards the northeast, if you're up towards Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, that area, they get maybe up to about 1/2 an inch there. So a little bit of excitement across the Carolinas. We check out the forecast as we head into the weekend. Tomorrow morning down to 35, mid-50s, maybe a couple showers, and then Sunday, wintry mix. That means you could have some kind of a combination of rain, freezing rain, a little bit of snow, a couple of snow flurries in the area. We start at 34 in the morning, 42 degrees for your high temperature on Sunday afternoon. Highs today across the area, we're for the most part going to be in the mid to upper 40s. On the mountains, it'll be cooler, mid-30s in places like Jefferson and Boone. Right around 46 at Lincoln, 47 at Lancaster, and for Charlotte, sunshine, 46 degrees for a high temperature today. Breezes about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Let's take a live view. This is King Street there in Boone. Sunshine, blue skies up there in the high country. That is Boone. And we'll take you to downtown Monroe. You can see the flags flying in the breeze. They're getting winds around 10 to 12 miles per hour there in downtown Monroe, North Carolina. Your 3-day forecast tomorrow, mid-50s. That'll be the warmest of the next several days. 42 the high on Sunday. Monday morning down to 24, high about 49 degrees. Over the next 10 days, tomorrow will be the milder of the next several, and then we see a nice moderation in the temperatures by next Thursday. In fact, from Thursday all the way into towards the next weekend, we'll look for temperatures at least in the mid, maybe in the upper 50s. Here's your Jerry Hunt 7-day forecast. 46 today, a milder 56 tomorrow, a couple rain showers in the morning, and then Sunday, there it is, that wintry mix, maybe a couple snow showers near the area, and then by the end of next week, not too bad at all. Slight chance of rain next Thursday, high 57. That's your forecast. Have a nice day and a great weekend.
All right, that was our Larry Sprinkle. Taking another quick break, but we'll be back here in 2 minutes, just past 2 o'clock. Well, the time has come, everyone, for our last Panthers on the Plus of this season. Heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
It was so close.
Yeah.
Carlene, I've really come around. I know we've talked about the fact that I don't care. I'm not a sports person. I care so much now because they were so
You
close.
have to care. I mean, yeah, the whole city was like buzzing,
Oh,
so of course
I
you
know.
cared. I cared. I'm a Bills fan, and I cared. I want the Panthers to do well. I live here. It'd be great.
And I hate the Rams.
Yeah, sure.
I don't like the Rams.
It's okay.
But it was so close.
It was so close, and you know, they were playing with house money at that point too. So they were just happy to be there.
A win is a win. I mean, to be there.
You know,
Going
nobody
up from
thought they were
here.
going to be there, and they were.
Up from here.
Yep.
But Nick and Eugene have one last Panthers on the Plus for us, breaking down the whole season and how we got here.
Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. It is Thursday at 9 p.m. and you are watching Panthers on the Plus, aka the Ball Brothers Panthers preview. I'm with my Ball brother, Eugene Robinson,
No doubt.
one of the 50 greatest players in Seattle Seahawks history, one of the greatest safeties in NFL history, Eugene Robinson. You like that intro, man?
All right, I'll take that, bro. But first, you were saying welcome in. I thought you were saying welcome men. Welcome men. I'm going, hold a minute. What about the women, too?
No.
Here we go. There you go. So,
welcome men and women, but I'm saying welcome in. Welcome in.
It was welcome in.
Maybe it's like the lazy tone.
Yeah. It was welcome in.
You from Connecticut, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm from Connecticut. Hey, man, I don't want nobody writing you no letters and nothing like that.
Welcome in.
Thank you.
in.
Yes.
Man, how are you doing, one? And two, have you been able to process the game from Saturday?
Yeah. One, let's talk about the game Saturday. This past Saturday. The Panthers weren't supposed to be there. They weren't even supposed to be there. They weren't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And so because they weren't supposed to be there, and the team, the opponent that they're facing, they were supposed to get blown out by 10.5 points.
Yeah.
So they were expecting the Rams to come in here and just absolutely dismantle the Carolina Panthers. That was not the case, not one bit. I thought we spotted them 14 points.
Yeah.
One with the turnover on downs when we went for it on fourth in our own territory.
Yeah.
And instead of punting the ball out, I was like, hey, punt the ball out. And then we had an interception. And both of those plays were on the plus side of the ball for them, and then they scored. That was 14 points.
Yeah.
So the fact that we actually took the lead in the fourth period twice in the fourth quarter, I'm sitting there going, wow, we shouldn't even be here.
Even going into half where Bryce runs in, scampers in for a touchdown, it was kind of like, okay, it's not here we go again. It's, okay, let's go. We got this.
Is it 17? It was 17-14.
It was playing out like the last 13.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This had shades of, of like, hey, we got to go ahead and upset these guys because no one's expecting us to do anything. And I think this is what this really did, this game, as I process it. I think it legitimized Coach Canales. I think it had so much credence to Bryce Young as being that guy. They picked up his fifth-year option. Well done. It'd be that guy. And I think it established Jalen Coker as the number 2 receiver. I think it established Mike Jack as one of the top corners in the league. When you look at the Carolina Panthers and we look at that game, you have to say this, that with all the great teams, Seattle, San Francisco, the Rams in our conference, that the Panthers belong and they are among the best.
Oh man, they
are among the best.
It was great. It was great seeing the bank back to what we saw for years, where the crowd was standing the entire time. I mean, talk about the atmosphere there. I wasn't at the game.
It was crowded. It was loud.
Eugene didn't give me a ticket to the game.
No, my bad. Sorry about the tickets, bro.
But the atmosphere of the game, Eugene's a regular at the game. But what was that like? Because you compare that, Eugene, to I go back to 2022. And I remember it was Matt Rule's last game and Christian McCaffrey's
that's right,
one of his last games there at Bank of America. It might have been his last game. I know it was Baker Mayfield's last game at Bank of America Stadium. What was that like at the playoff game compared to what we say like in 20.
When you have that juxtaposition of those two games and one not having the fan support and people being upset that you're going to lose a Christian McCaffrey, people upset with you, and it's empty. I mean, the bowl, it doesn't have that many folks in it.
At all.
To this game that we faced against the Rams last week, it was standing room only. There were so many legends that came back to be a part of history. And then I got to give the fans their love in this. They were loud. They were noisy. They cheered. They booed the other team coming out of the booth. They did all the stuff you're supposed to do, like as fans, and it was incessant. It never stopped. It was just noise. And I was happened to be in. I went to a couple of sweet hops a little bit, but I was there, and there was a couple of plays that we made, and everybody in that area was high-fiving each other and dancing and walking around and doing their little dance and doing a little crip walk and all kind of stuff. I'm like just going, hey man, let the crip walk. I think you did the crip walk.
Eugene's like, I know how to do that.
I said, man, I think he did the crip walk. But it was that loud, and it reminded me of what playoff, games looked like back in 2004, what they looked like in 2015.
You know what that reminded? Well, and to your point, so loud that I believe there were a couple of false start penalties.
Yes, it was.
And I'm like, oh wow,
dude, it was no. Typically, when you have to go to signals anyway, you use always hand signals.
Yeah.
When it's loud, it was that loud that the Rams were like, okay, we're relegated. Yeah. We're forced to go ahead and use our hand signals because ain't nobody going to hear you.
Yeah.
Nobody going to hear you.
That game may have cost Matthew Stafford that MVP. I think so. I think so. I just think
I think that Drake May has played so well that I think that he's become that guy.
Yeah.
That he's gonna, and if they continue to do what they've been doing, I think he becomes the front runner for it.
You know what that
even though once they had 47 touchdowns.
Yeah, right. You're right.
That's a lot of touchdowns.
You know what that reminds me of? 2002. I went to my first Panthers game, actual Panthers game, inside the stadium, not outside the stadium, inside the stadium. That one tickets was like $50. For $50, you get like a really good seat at then Ericsson Stadium. 2002 quarterback Rodney Peete. I believe D. Brown was the running back. They were playing Chicago Bears.
D. Brown was at the game too, by the way.
D. Brown, he was at the game?
I happened to see him, yeah.
Underrated Carolina Panther running back.
Yeah, underrated. D. Brown, we're giving you some love, man. Hey, D. Brown, you had it going on.
Number 22, shout out to D. Brown. But they were playing the Chicago Bears. They kind of had an season. It kind of reminded me of the 2024 season with the Panthers. It was half-packed in the stadium. They were playing the Chicago Bears. It was mostly Bears fans in there. And there was a drunk Carolina Panthers fan yelling, "Cats! C-A-T-S, cats!" And it was like, man, this is sad. Fast forward a year later, and it's a totally different vibe. The year they go to the Super Bowl. And it's like, man, it's just...
And that's the year Jake Delhomme came.
Yeah.
Jake Delhomme came that year because Rodney Peete was their quarterback. And you remember that Jacksonville Jaguar game, I believe it was, when...
halftime.
When what's the name took over at halftime, hit Ricky Pro on that corner route for a touchdown.
Yep.
You knew it was going to be something special because, man, this Jake Delhomme dude, who is this guy, right? But guess what? He's one of the most competitive people that you know. He's just one of those guys. But the atmosphere grew. Yeah. It grew and grew and grew and to this crescendo, like everybody, no matter where you went, everybody was talking about the Carolina Panthers. And don't forget, they went, if it were not for, I think he gets a bad rap a little bit, but what not for John Casey, we talk about the kickoff after they took the lead, that got the ball on the 40-yard line, that shortened the field. I don't fault John Casey for that. Yeah. But that's just football. But if people still remember, like, hold up, these dudes, they weren't even supposed to be there. They went and shocked the house, and then we won a lot of close games there.
Look, that team does in ways reminds me more of that 2003-04 squad. Different, right?
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
But the. You count this team out, and they work worked wonders, and they were the cardiac cats that year in 2003. So a lot of similarities, and they were building blocks.
But that team, that 2004 team, I want to say is older than this 2000.
A lot older, yes.
A lot older,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that's one of the differences
Yeah.
is that this team here today, currently now, is a young team that got some invaluable playoff experience. Invaluable.
And I think that early 2000s team wasn't able to make a run because they were a lot older than this team.
Yeah.
But speaking of the off season, we're going to talk about it after the break, and we'll tease a little bit of it now. The Panthers have some decisions to make.
Okay,
going to the off
I know. They do.
And one of those guys who star running back kind of teased like, I don't know if I'm going to be back. And he didn't say in those words. I'm paraphrasing. And
No, but Rico Dotto had said that he intimated that he wants to be the every down guy.
Yeah.
I get it because everybody wants to be. So that's no, not to disparage him or anything like that. That's everybody wants to be that guy. I want to be I want to be the quarterback.
But okay, I
want to be the secondary dude. I want to be the guy out there.
You obviously we can't read his mind, but he did sign a one-year deal here in Carolina, knowing that he wasn't going to be the guy.
Yeah, but see, he was hoping also that his play would resonate so much that every other team is going to want to pick up a Rico Dotto.
So just basing it off of what Chuba did the year before, did he really think that he was going to be 1,000-yard back? I'm just being real. I'm not saying he wasn't capable. Obviously, he did it, but did he?
Rico Dotto has something special.
Yeah,
he can run. He got great vision, great peripheral vision. He's able to go ahead and put his foot in the ground. He accelerates he gets going really, really fast. What we saw that 5-game stretch was not something that was an anomalous thing. That's who he is.
Yeah,
he's that guy. So now the Panthers face what? Do we get a guy? Do we saddle up with Chuba, or do we?
And go Jonathan Brooks, the young guy.
And I tell you what, I saw him play one game or one preseason thing, and I was like, dude, who is this dude, man?
Yeah.
Who's this guy with this kind of ability? He has that ability now. He's coming off injury.
Yeah, two injuries. One from college, one from the pros.
Exactly, and so that will actually somewhat, get in your head and diminish what you do, and you have to go ahead and round back out in the form. So we'll see what happens, but I think the Carolina Panthers are in a good position.
Yeah.
Because whether you decide that, okay, Rico's gone, or you keep him, it doesn't matter. You're going to still build around this offense that ran the ball really well. And that teams had to go to an 8-man front to go ahead and stop it. And even so, they still were able to go ahead and still create dividends.
I got to ask you, this season, although, and we're going to get into some of those guys who are unrestricted free agents for the Panthers, but it feels a lot less like something big needs to happen this offseason with a seismic shift happening in the NFL. Mike Tomlin out. John Harbaugh looks like he's going to the New York Giants. It does I think there are 8 other coach openings in the NFL. We look pretty stable right now.
Exactly.
I like that feeling. It feels good.
Yeah, it does, because don't forget, and this is what I think is so remarkable, that the Panthers will find themselves in the playoff. This is a 2-year coach, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Coach Canales has been a coordinator everywhere he's been. He's been the offensive coordinator, or he's been the quarterback's coach. And so he has that offensive mind, and now he has 2 years to kind of prove himself, to see, okay, who's this guy? Don't forget, we went from Rule, Wilkes, special teams, then we went from Frank Wright.
Frank Wright, yeah. I forgot about Frank Wright.
Somebody else, boom. And now we started on Coach Canales.
And before that, we had stability. John Fox to Ron Rivera.
Exactly. And so from that, now we have some stability. And I would think that Mr. Tepper sees that there's stability right there.
Yeah.
And then don't forget, you've already have his plan in place. And so you're not learning plans after plans after plans after plans.
Yeah.
You're not doing any of that type of stuff. So to your point, you go into the offseason going like this, hey, we're not like other teams that's unsettled.
Yeah.
We're pretty settled. Now we can concentrate on just getting that linebacker or that edge rusher. we can concentrate on
It's
just
a head
getting
start.
or getting that other offensive lineman.
Yeah.
But you get Robin Hunt back.
Yeah.
In the mix, so you got some things you're sitting there going, hold on, wait a minute, all right, okay, and then don't forget to get a free agency period that happens, then you have the draft.
However, we do have a coach that has been interviewing with several teams. I saw this morning the Steelers.
You talking about Coach Gerald?
Gerald. He is interviewed. He's a hot commodity. There has been, I think at times unfair, but I think at times fair criticism of his play calling and of his defensive philosophy. That comes with coaches, right?
Oh yeah. I've been critical too because that was the Saints games that we alluded to and we talked about
The Rams game.
And the Rams game, and I'm like this. Hey, get out of this prevent defense, man, and just send the boys at them. And I'm thinking it from my perspective because I don't like you dinking and dunking down the field. Olave went down the field, boom, 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 boom. Next time it was a touchdown. Then it was boom, 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 boom with the Rams. Parkinson touchdown. I'd rather say if you're gonna beat me, I'm gonna put a dude in your face. And I'm like, okay, hey, let's cut down the space, and I'm put people in your face. So I get it, but overall, look, they went from being a team that was woeful in stopping the run into doing. Climbed up in maybe the top 15, and in the past climbed up. Their numbers shifted and they moved directly. And don't forget, Derek Brown came back from injury last year, and then they had J.C. Horn who
was hurt.
Hurt. So, and then they had two new safeties, Nick Scott and Trayvon Merrick. There's a lot of stuff that you got to go to do. And then you had the linebackers were getting hurt in that game. So if I'm overall judging Coach Gerald and this Evero, if I'm judging, I'm like, you didn't do a bad job at all. No, you didn't do a bad job. I wanted more, but you didn't do a bad job.
I think if Evero leaves, Nick Scott's probably gonna go with him. Oh, okay.
He was this guy in that Denver. I believe.
That's why
it was this guy at Denver. So I get that. But I'm telling you, when you have those moving parts, like when we brought in people, Bobby Brown and
Pat Jones.
You also had the emergence of Wharton. You had Derek Brown, who's the best defensive tackle in the league. I don't care what nobody say. That dude's the best defensive tackle in the league.
Should have been a Pro Bowler.
I don't care if they don't get you no accolades. It don't matter because all them dudes you face, they know what time it is.
They know what.
They know what time it is.
What impact does it, as a guy, again, one of the greatest safeties to play the game? What does that do for a defense? You have a defensive coordinator that's been there for a couple of years. He leaves, and you bring in a new one.
You got to learn a new system. Now, are you 3-4? Are you 4-3? What? Don't forget, you get comfortable learning somebody's system. You get comfortable with the vernacular and the calls. You get comfortable with all that stuff, and so it's easy for me to say, okay, we're gonna do a hurricane. Well, hurricane to you is, we got both the weak side backer and the nickel blitzing. But hurricane to somebody else is that's a strong side linebacker and the strong safety blitzing on the same. So you got to learn a lot of different vernacular and the language of what the defense is going to go ahead and be. And so now it's all X's and O's and it's all the same, but the vernacular, that's the part you have to go ahead and get. You got to get accustomed to style, and then you got to get accustomed to what do you like to do? Do you like to prevent defense? All right. Do you like to go ahead and do more man? Are you a zone man team? Are you a zone blitzing team? You got to figure out, are you going to be an 8-man front, or do you go to 7-man front, cover 2, and then maybe drop a safety down? You got to do all that stuff and all those nuances and mean something to the defense, and you have to communicate that. That's what guys will have to learn if Coach Ajero was go.
The fans have been critical. We've been critical, but the players on board. Obviously, the front office is on board. They want him there.
Oh, that's what Coach Canales said. That's what I heard him clearly.
Dan Morgan said the same thing.
He said, "Yeah, we want him."
They believe in in their DC. Oh, and I'm cool. I'm cool with that. I'm looking at the list. There are some guys. I'm not going to read the entire list, but I want to get your reaction. These are unrestricted free agents, guys that that you think pivotal to bring back next year. We got Austin Corbett, center. Rico Dowdle, we talked about him. Skip down the list. Cade.
I think I think Austin Corbett, yes. I think Rico Dowdle, I think somebody's going to go ahead and offer him a lot of money that he's going to go.
Rico Dowdle's gone.
I think that he's that good.
Cade Mays.
I think he stays.
Okay, because also we have the question of Icky. He had a.
That's right. He got hurt.
Yeah, he got hurt. A serious injury, and Robert Hunt has been hurt too.
Yep, and Robert Hunt comes back now, but
yeah. You don't know. Another guy. Well, two more guys. Oh, actually, three more guys. I'm sorry. Christian Roseboom.
Yes, he stays.
Okay.
He's for my criticism, Christian Roseboom is that I think he's so aggressive that he goes past the play sometimes.
Yep.
However, his aggression, the dude gets there and he means business.
He got better.
Oh yeah, he means business. And that one interception that he had that against, I forget towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I know.
That deep end, I can see that deep run. He has that interception, and I'm sitting going, okay, all right. And I think it was against Tampa, and we lost the game.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm sitting going, okay, finally you're depth and dropping, and you're learning how to drop deeper as opposed to
he was very shallow,
very shallow. So, and I think you can hone his aggression, but I don't want to bridle that heart that he has because he gets after it.
I like Christian Roseboom. He grew on me. I got one more. DJ Wano.
I thought we would have more from DJ Wano because I loved when he came back towards the end of the season, and I thought that he was one of the best pass rushers that we had. And I thought with the advent of Derek Brown getting back in the mix and he coming off the edge, I thought that he would have a lot of sacks. That didn't materialize. And I know he was hurt from time to time, so I get it. But he's a guy that I think that if we're looking for a guy who can rush the edge, I think he's a guy who can do it.
I think too. Also, when we think about edge rushers, I'm thinking about Pat Jones. I know he plays outside line. Edge rusher is kind of a newer thing, right?
But Nick Scorton's out there too now.
Nick Scorton. But Pat Jones, he played well, but he had problems walking through the season.
Exactly.
He has that back surgery months in, so he should be ready for the start of the season. So that might have some impact on what they do on the defensive line.
Yeah, see, I think defensively, as Dan Morgan, the GM, is thinking about where some of the places. We've always had a linebacker that was notable.
Yeah. Dan Morgan was one of them.
Dan Morgan, Beeson, Luke Kuechly. Thomas Davis. Shaq Thompson.
Shaq Thompson.
Forget about how good Shaq was.
Who got an interception. He plays for the Bills.
Dude.
He got an interception.
Dude, so we've always had backers that was Sam Mills. We always had backers that was notable backers. And I've always thought that the energy from the team always emanates from that position because the backers tie the secondary and the defensive front together. But you notice where does that noise come from? It comes from the defensive line and who? Derek Brown. Not like the Luke Kuechly, not like the Thomas Davis, not like the Beeson, not like the Dan Morgan. And so I think I'm looking for now. Wallace, can you be that guy? I think Wallace, because I think Wallace is good. He got to stay healthy.
Yeah,
he has to stay healthy.
He's in that Xavier Leggett category.
He got to stay healthy. And if you ain't staying healthy, dude.
I don't know what to
I don't know what to say, dude.
You got it's the NFL. And
you got to be healthy.
You know it better than anybody. Availability is the best ability.
And I like Wallace. I think he's really good, but he has to be healthy. If he's not healthy, then now you're a liability, and now they're looking to find people to replace you because the NFL is you got to be healthy. That's it.
All right, so let's move away from the Panthers. I want to get your take. Mike Tomlin, leaving the Pittsburgh, I know you didn't expect this question, leaving the Steelers after 19 years, almost 2 decades, man. I want to get your thoughts on that, man, because that is a big shift. You rarely see coaches leave a franchise. Mike Tomlin, I feel like he has an impact everywhere.
Yes, he
Do you have
has.
any Mike Tomlin stories?
Yes, he has. I'm a big Mike Tomlin fan, and so I was surprised. But when he steps down, I'm pretty sure that he had conversations with the Rooney family and about stepping down at the end of the season, and they probably kept it under wraps. The other thing is that I think he won't want for a job because he's going to be highly sought after.
Yeah.
When Harbaugh got canned, I'm like, well, guess what? He's going to be out there because he's a good coach.
Yeah.
And so is Coach Tomlin. But also, I think that Coach Tomlin, if he has any aspirations of being in broadcasting, I think that there's a spot that's formed that, whether Fox, CBS, NBC, that will welcome him immediately. Because his knowledge of the game and just what he's been able to go ahead and do. So I think he's probably in a good position, and probably when he talked over it with his family, probably said, this is a time for me to go ahead and to move on. Because I would think he has more options. He doesn't strike me as a man that leaves a job without knowing what his options are.
Have you met Mike Tomlin before?
Yes, I have, and he's cooler than a fan. I met him here in Charlotte. Mike is cooler than a fan, and he's funny, dude. I didn't know that Coach Tomlin was funny.
Because he's also serious.
I said, dude, you're funny, man. You're a funny dude, man. He's like this. He said, oh man, Gene, I can't give him everything. I said, yeah, because when I see you doing your thing, it's abrupt, it's curt, it's short, it's brief. It's like boom, boom. You're like just to the point. Boom. This is it. All you get, right?
Yeah.
But that's not his personality, And also, like Bill Belichick, I've heard to say that's not his personality either. So that's just the persona of being a head coach and being hardened by us in the media who have to go ahead and ask questions.
Yeah, we're critical of
everything you do.
Look,
I'm a Mike Tomlin fan.
If you do something for almost 20 years, you did a good job at it. Because there's a lot of people don't make it 5 years.
And you went to the playoffs again. I'm just saying.
And you didn't have a losing season.
No.
So, I mean, hats off to Mike Tomlin. I thought I asked that Mike Tomlin question.
And probably will go down in history and be in the Hall of Fame as one of the top coaches.
I'm not mad at that. That's a first ballot Hall of Famer right there.
Oh, dude, 20 years, roughly 20 years at Pittsburgh, at that, and no losing season.
It went by fast. Man, I felt like it went
losing season.
No losing season.
Man, please, get on. Mike Tomlin got it going on. Let me be the first to say, Mike Tomlin, you got it going on.
He still hasn't denied if he's related to Omar Epps. I don't know.
I just said, look, my wife loves Omar Epps, and right? She said, I said, don't they got like different lazy eyes and stuff like this going? She's going like she said, oh no. They are just fine.
Omar Epps just rewatched In Too Deep recently.
Oh, really? Okay. Omar Epps got it going on, too. I'm like, look, I'm a fan.
I love Omar Epps.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Omar Epps. I'm a fan of Mike Tomlin.
Oh, man. All right, man. Thank you guys for joining us here on Panthers on the Plus, a.k.a. the Ball Brothers with Glasses Panthers preview with Carlene. Can't forget Carlene.
That's right.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
All right, we're going to take another break, but stick with us. Back here in 2 minutes with some more local and national headlines. right, welcome back to Live Impact News. Looking ahead to Monday, MLK Day. There's lots of events if you have the day off and want to take the kids somewhere. This one in particular, our Nick Sturt event, got a chance to speak to the Knothole Foundation about a free baseball clinic for the kiddos. Take a listen in.
I had to stand up for this one, Carlene, because we got two special guests. A couple of guys who've been here before. They're familiar with this studio. Well, one guy is familiar with the studio. Another guy, we got him via Zoom, but he's first time here in studio. Take a look at him. This is Morris Madden, Tommy Viola, Knothole Foundation, Carolina's Metro Reds. Before I let them talk, let me introduce them. All right, so the Knothole Foundation is hosting a free MLK Day baseball clinic for area youth on January 19th. Obviously, that is MLK Day. I keep saying obviously because that is a big day, a day of service. And I say a day of service because, I mean, that's what you guys do. You service the community. I feel like 24/7 is a day of service for you guys. I got to ask, why was it important to do this baseball clinic? I mean, you do stuff all the time. Why was it important to have it on MLK Day?
Well, one of the things is that the Carolinas Metro Reds, in collaboration with the Knothole Foundation, on Saturday, the Reds are going to be an MLK Day parade.
Okay.
And then on Monday, we're going to do the clinic in collaboration with the Knothole Foundation. So we want our kids to really recognize and understand what MLK was all about. We're going to do that clinic to kind of further along their learning of baseball, but also we're going to have some life skills and talk about the importance of Martin Luther King.
There's a generation of kids that I'm sure they're familiar with Martin Luther King, but they probably don't know sort of a lot of what he stood for. I think they have a good basis. I don't want to give I want to give the kids credit enough to know like they know something about MLK, but I feel like this is a good time to kind of really kind of get into the weeds of who he was and what he was about, right?
Well, I don't want to take down.
No, please, absolutely.
Well, it's twofold. One of the reasons is that we do want to educate them on the importance of Martin Luther King and what he stood for and what he did and how he did it and what he had to go through to do it and all that stuff. But there's also, we want to make sure that these kids continue to have an interest in playing baseball. And as you know, back when I played in major leagues, the ratio was 20% African American. It has dwindled down to like 6% now, and we are trying to figure out the reasoning behind it. We do know one reason behind it, but we haven't figured it all out yet. But in order to encourage them to continue to play, we put on these clinics and make sure that these kids are there to give them a good atmosphere, to give them a good place to play and a safe place to play.
I feel like we talked about it. Baseball, I feel like at some point that was the popular sport. I mean, you call it America's pastime. You don't call it America's pastime for no reason at all. Like, I mean, it was the one sport that I think connected generations, connected father and son, father and daughter, however you want to put it. And now, especially in the black community, not as much. Right. Y'all do a lot of work to bridge that.
Correct.
Do you feel the weight of that? Trying to, I mean, 'cause that's a big hurdle, especially with the popularity of basketball, football. I even see tennis gaining traction in that space.
Soccer.
It's soccer gaining traction in that
Flag
space.
football.
Flag football.
Yeah, it is. You know, a lot of the kids, say for instance, if I'm in a grocery store and I see a kid, I'm going to come up to him and say, hey man, listen, you want to play baseball? Do you play baseball? And they're like, nah, I play football. I play basketball. And I'm like, oh, you don't want to give it a chance? No, that's a boring sport. So my challenge to them is to come to one day of practice with us. And if you don't enjoy yourself or get anything out of that practice, we won't bother you again. And every kid that accepted that challenge stayed because of the expertise that we have. We make it fun, we make it lively, keep it interesting for them, and they want to learn more. And the more they learn about the game, the little nuances they learn about the game, they become very interested in it because baseball is not checkers, it's chess. Yeah. And they kind of figure it all out. So that's why they become interested in it.
Tommy, boring.
Yeah, and a big part of it, and as Coach said, is the life skills that we offer. You know, it's not just, you're not just coming out for a clinic to learn the fundamentals of baseball. You know, we do West Side Story, we do HBCU Showcase. There's always a component of that that has an opportunity for you to hear from people in the game, from you know, really important people. The life skills part of it, the educational part of it is really important, and that's what the Knothole Foundation's doing. That's what the Metro Reds have done for years. And you know, when you talk about baseball, it does. It brings the community together in a lot of ways, and that's what the hope of this event is. On Monday, it's a free clinic. Our clinics are free. It's for 2 hours. We bring the kids out. Registration is up on our website. You can go there now and register. Kids are out of school that day, right?
Right,
so it's the perfect day to come out. But as you mentioned, it's not just going to be the fundamentals. It's going to be hearing about the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the impact that he had. So it's going to be an important day, and a special day. We're really looking forward to it.
I got to say, I apologize. They don't know what I'm apologizing for, but I posted a clip last time Tommy was here. It was about the flag football tournament and the canned food drive. And I posted it, and there were people, even days after the event, asking, how can I help? And I'm like, maybe I didn't do enough. Maybe I didn't post it enough time.
You were great. You were great. I appreciate it.
Y'all do a lot of great work, and I want that work, the word of your work to get out there. And I was like, oh, man, I'm passing along Tommy's number. I'm like, reach out to this guy.
Yeah. No, and thank you so much. You know, we did the food drive, and it's actually still ongoing.
Okay.
We just actually yesterday partnered with Nourish Up Charlotte, and we donated 1,700 pounds of food yesterday to them. So it's still ongoing. We're connecting with a CMS here locally to get it into the hands of kids that are at school that don't have the food that they need. So that's still going. You know, a lot of our things that we do, these initiatives that we're putting together, they're ongoing, and we're continuing to do it. And as the calendar turns from 25 to 26, we're ready to go. We're scheduling a number of events, and it's exciting.
Carolina's Metro Reds. I mean, it's just like a wealth of knowledge in that building, man. You got guys with years of experience. So it's not like and this is no shade to the guys that coach my little league baseball team. But I mean, you got some heavy hitters out there teaching the kids, including yourself, Morris.
Well, we got over 100 years of professional baseball experience within our group. And the guys that come out and they have fun with each other, and we always reminisce, talk about back when we played. I played against some of the guys that are actually coaching there, and the kids enjoy us, just the banter. We go back and forth with it. So we keep it fun, we keep it light.
I think my little league coaches probably had like a year of high school baseball experience under their belt. They didn't have no professional. But again, I love what you guys do. You're kicking off a fundraising campaign, right?
Yes, sir.
Talk about that. How can folks help out?
We're actually kicking it off. It'll be it's $20.26 representing the year 2026 that they can, and it doesn't matter how many $20.26 you put in, but that will give you an opportunity to win an autographed Bob Gibson jersey.
Oh yeah, let me put that up on the screen.
That will be.
Oh, my bad, Carlene. I'm double punching. This is what. Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Should have taken that out of the bag.
Yeah.
From the bag here, but
that will be given away on March the 28th on our opening day. You don't have to be present to win, but if you donate, your name will be put towards that basket or that bucket of people that are eligible to win that particular jersey. So $20.26. It doesn't matter how many times you do it. You can go to metroreds.net and donate right there.
I thought that jersey was for me. I thought it was a gift. I was like, oh man.
I walked in with it like,
I was like, oh man, I'm honored. I'm honored. I mean, you know, hey, I don't accept gifts. I'm honored. I do want to ask you this. You always have something going on. What gets you up in the morning? Because I mean, you guys have great energy. I feed off that energy every time I see you guys. What gets you up in the morning to do what you do, to do the work in the community?
Well, we have a lot of like-minded people in our organizations that are trying to capitalize on the same thing. we just the fact that we know that the kids are actually winning by coming out to our facility and doing some of the things we do, whether they play baseball at the next level, it doesn't matter to us. We just our goal is to make sure that they go get some higher form of education, and through that avenue, we try to make sure that we engage them in what we call our teen engagement program, where we have them meet people like you, and hopefully they'll find and say, hey, I want to be like Nick. So what we'll do is we use every resource that we have. We'll probably bring them in here so they can see what you do on a daily basis, and then they'll say, okay, well, this is what I want to do. So we try to target a career path for them, and once they finish with high school, they don't finish high school and take 2 or 3 years to try to figure it out. They'll just start being productive after they finish high school.
Anytime, Tommy, I want you to answer that question too, but I want to say anytime any of these kids want to come in here, tour the station, just be a fly on the wall, if they have any questions, you're welcome and feel free.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
The doors are open.
Yes, sir.
I want you to answer that question.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and I think that's a big part of it is that, you know, when these kids, and Morris will say it best, is that, you know, major league citizens, right? We're not out there to make Major League Baseball players. We're out there to make, you know, major league citizens, and you know, if you know, examples of that is, you know, there are so many other jobs. If you love the game of baseball, there's so many other jobs in it. You know, I made a career in PR because I love baseball so much, and now being here with the Knothole Foundation and, you know, being in the community every day is been amazing to me. So, but no, and that's the beauty of this is, and we talk about it all the time. It's not about the on the field. It's about the opportunities, the access that the kids that we work with aren't able to just get. And we talk about the other sports, but you know, baseball is a very expensive sport. I know it now with my son, and you see some of these kids that have the, you know, and we don't, but we, you know, the $300 bats and gloves, and it's a very expensive sport. And so there are a lot of challenges with baseball, and that's why I think, you know, our organizations to be able to be there for these kids is really important. We hope to do an equipment drive soon. If kids need gloves or bats, we want to be able to help provide that as well. So we have a lot of events coming up. You can check out knotholecarolinas.org for all the information. You know, West Side Story in April is a big event. I'm sure we'll be back again to talk about that. And then our Diversity in Baseball HBCU Showcase in August is going to be a great event.
Back for that too.
We'll be back for that. We're working with Minority Baseball Prospects, another great organization. So I'd love to come back in and talk about one of their big events coming up. So a lot of great things going on.
Major League Citizens. Thank you guys. I just want to say thank you for what you're doing in the community.
Absolutely.
Y'all doing incredible work. I say this all the time, but you got a fan in me. I'm a big fan. Tommy Viola, Morris Madden. Check it out. Knothole Foundation hosting that free ML Day baseball clinic for area youth on MLK Day, January 19th, if you need to mark it on the calendar. Registration still open?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't want to lie to the folks. Registration is still open.
Yes.
Check them out now. KnotholeCarolinas.org, right? That's where they can register. You guys, thank you, man. We got to make this happen. I mean, we only usually it's just Tommy and Morris separately. We got to make this happen. Both of you guys. Got to bring your lovely wife. All right, to the studio.
I'll make sure.
Next time.
Hey, I want to get you to throw a first pitch one of these days.
I'm down.
Let's get
Look,
you.
I got my, you know what I'm saying, I've been working out. I'm right-handed. You're left-handed, right?
I'm left-handed.
I'm a right-handed, so I think I got it. I got it.
Okay.
Put March 28th on your calendar.
March 28th?
Yeah, please.
All right. I'm a March baby. March 12th is my birthday. That's
There
a
you
great
go.
birthday. Okay, all right. I'm going to do it. All right. Let's head to break. Thank you guys for stopping by.
Again, lots of things going on Monday for MLK Day if you're off work or if you have the kids out of school. So lots of things to do. We'll get to more later. But first, another quick break. Welcome back to Live Impact News. We're going to get right back out to those MLK Day events. The Levine Museum of the New South is actually holding multiple events, not just on Monday, but throughout the week. So here's Nick Sturtevant's interview with them earlier.
Next week is MLK Day, next Monday. It's hard to sort of like describe what MLK Day means to me, especially the Black community. Sure. What it means to us. I wake up every morning. There's a picture of there's a framed picture of MLK. I've read books on MLK. It's a very inspirational person in my life. I've heard my grandparents talk about Martin Luther King Jr., what he meant. And so, like, I kind of nerd out about MLK. And one of the great things, if you want to learn more about MLK, about the Civil Rights Movement, about our history, American history, I encourage you to head over to Levine Museum because they're doing a series of programs starting actually tomorrow. And really fascinating stuff. I want to dig into it now. We have Dr. Val Brown, Chief Education and Strategic Partnership Officer at the Levine Museum of the New South. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Brown.
Thank you for having me.
I got to start with that question. What does Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. mean to you?
Yeah, so I was smiling at your nerding out about Dr. Martin Luther King, and I spent some years, this probably started in 2016, I was like, I want to read everything that was ever written. I haven't gotten through everything, but I will tell you the text that means the most to me right now at this point in my life, and has for a couple of years, is where do we go from here? Mm-hmm. And there's a part in the text that talks about persevering togetherness and how we have to persevere together in order to get that racial understanding that we're trying to create. It's not something that we can find. Mm-hmm. And so that stuck with me throughout my dissertation work, throughout my life, and I understand that type of perseverance is something that we are being asked to embody now, in this moment.
I think he's a misunderstood man. I think he's more complex than
absolutely
what we give him credit for. He's kind of in a way become, and I'll hopefully we are able to do more as a society, more of his, read more of his work, but he's become more of like a Santa Claus character, and I hate that because I'm like, he's much more complex than that. I just finished reading a couple of months ago, and I may be butchering this man's name, Bonhoeffer, MLK, and sort of how they relate. He was a theologian from Germany, and MLK. I recommend you guys read that book. But yeah, he's just such a complex figure. I just want to throw that out there. It wasn't really a question.
No, I think it's fair, and I think one thing that we have to remember, especially as we are talking about him in our upcoming event, specifically leading into that, is that he did not become MLK because life was good, all right? Yeah. He became who he was because he was constantly faced with the oppression of our people, of our country, and decided he was going to do something about it. And so oftentimes we talk about him in isolation, like you said, like Santa Claus, without naming many of the systematic oppressive realities that he faced and others faced at that time.
And made a lot of sacrifices because growing up he had sort of more of a comfortable life. He went to, his father being this esteemed pastor, went to school at Morehouse, went to Boston. I mean, he had a path where he could have a cushy life, but decided to, I want to help people. I want to help my people.
I think that's a choice that we're all faced with, and that's really, again, not necessarily to move outside of who we are. We aren't all asked to become Martin Luther King. Right? We're just asked to show up in the best way we can to continue our work in this marathon, is what I like to call it.
I kind of went off on a tangent there because we're talking about MLK Day.
I appreciate it.
But y'all are doing some really great programming. I want to start in order because I have a list here.
Okay.
And I told you I wasn't gonna nail you down with some hard questions. But no, let's Selma.
Yes.
let's talk about that. So tomorrow there is a community discussion and special screening of the movie Selma. That movie is that movie 10 years old now?
It might be 10 years old now.
Are we that old now?
You can speak for yourself.
Are you that
speak
young?
for yourself,
Are you
yes.
that young? Am I that old? 2015, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Talk about that. Why was that important to have that community discussion and the screening?
So first I want to thank our partners and friends at the Carolina Theater for helping us make this possible for our community. And so one thing that I mentioned early is that oftentimes because of the way we lionize Dr. King, we forget that there were many people who were standing with him and kind of made the road possible for this change to happen. And so an opportunity to bring our community together, some who have never seen the movie, some who have seen the movie before, to come back and revisit this moment, to not forget the history and the work that it took to get us to a certain place, I think felt like an important reminder right now. It's easy to get complacent and to feel like, hey, I've done the work and there's nothing else that I should do to continue to work, but our job is to continue to work, right? We can't get complacent. And so having both the screening, and I don't know if you remember how you felt when you first saw it, but it was an incredibly moving film for me, one that wasn't for you.
Same. I didn't have, I was kind of bracing. I was like, I don't know what this is going to be. And I was like, oh, wow, this is a really great movie.
So powerful. And one thing that I wish I had in the moment that I'm happy that we're able to provide as a museum is an opportunity to be in conversation with others about what I'm seeing, right? Typically that is a personal experience, maybe with your family, maybe with a couple of friends who have also seen the movie. But to be able to be in community and conversation with people from around Charlotte who care about the very same things and want to know how I can make an immediate impact in our community feels like an opportunity that we don't want to miss. And so thankfully people are coming to see the film, right? It's hard to get a movie ticket these days, right? It's hard to be moved to go to the movies, but people are buying tickets to the movie. But I think they're also buying tickets to the experience of being in the room with others who care about the very same things and want to take some action around how to make our community the best one we possibly can.
Because to your point, every time we see a new movie, we always are excited about, I got to talk to Carlene about this movie. Carlene, I got to tell you about this movie. Dr. Brown, I got to talk to you about this movie. So that's a great experience where you can watch that movie again, a movie that's been out for over 10 years, and then turn around and be like, you know what, I just saw.
It's 2014.
2014.
Okay. 14.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
Almost going on 12 years.
Well, just think about it. I have a 17 and a 15-year-old. They haven't seen the movie in like that context. So even bringing young people who are close to voting, they know some of the actors in the movie, but they haven't had the experience of seeing that film. And so about 80%, and we want to continue to push on this, but about 80% of the population gets their histories from movies, right?
Yeah.
For better or worse, right? But if as a history museum we can help usher in that conversation, I think that continues the learning, gets people interested, ask more questions. That's the goal.
So you have that, and I want to move forward a little bit. January 19th, MLK Day. MLK Family Day.
Yes.
I don't want to spoil. I see everything on here, but what can folks expect from MLK Family Day? Because this sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, so a free, lively experience.
And a learning experience,
and
too.
A learning experience, that's right. A free, lively, and a service experience, I'm going to say. But a free, lively experience where young people can engage in activities around MLK. We actually have our friends from Love in Action there, so everyone who shows up have an opportunity to serve. Love in Action is an organization. They create greeting cards for those in elder care that you can give so they can battle loneliness. And so we wanted to provide an opportunity for learning, for fun, for service, all in one place, for free. Check us out. We would love to have y'all there. Yeah.
What is that like to see? I mean, folks, it's like a tradition. Like you got to do service on MLK Day. Like there's the breakfast. Growing up, it was the MLK breakfast, and then we got to serve our community.
Yeah, we don't want to miss that part. And if we can teach young people early that there are things that they can do to serve. Again, imagine an elder that you love getting a handwritten card from a little 4-year-old who's trying to figure out how to write their letters. It's the sweetest thing ever, right? And so they get that boost of knowing that they can serve their community right away. And we want that to grow in them, to sprout.
Before I let you go, do you feel that the Levine Museum has a responsibility to tell our history and to inform folk with the level of accuracy?
Absolutely.
That we're probably not seeing, because as you mentioned, movies is how, I probably talked to my nephew, he probably will reference a movie as far as history, but social media. I mean, so many people are on social media. I'm on TikTok so much. I'm on TikTok more than I'm actually watching shows and TV and podcasts. But I say all that to say, do you feel that level of responsibility?
Oh, yes. And I think that we should feel a responsibility to tell the truth and to tell it in a nuanced way. So as you opened up, right, we have most times one perspective, a limited view of a human who is doing some good work. And I think that perspective keeps us from feeling like we can also do good in the world, right? I am flawed, I'm not as moral as Dr. King, but that's not true. He was a human. He was a human who continued to take the steps. And so if we continue to tell that story, the truth that history is nuanced, complicated, it's messy, there's things that we're not going to be proud of, and there's things that we're very proud of. If we can hold space for all of those, then I think people can walk into that knowing that they are also history makers.
Oh, Val Brown, Dr. Val Brown, Chief Education and Strategic Partnership Officer at the Levine Museum of the New South, here in studio. Thank you for your time. Thank you for stopping by. She is this is her second time here on Live Impact News. So we have to bring you back for the third time because you have awesome programming for Black History Month.
That's right.
So you will be, she'll be back.
Don't forget me.
Did she? Okay. All right. And make sure you check out the Levine Museum, the program they have coming up for MLK Day. Also, what they just have moving forward. A lot of awesome things going on there. Thank you again for stopping by.
All right, going to take another quick break, but we'll be back here in 2 minutes, and stick around for another check of your forecast. Welcome back. Just past 3 p.m. here in the Live Impact studio. It's me and Carlene in here, and we're going to get another check with Larry Sprinkle of your weekend forecast.
Hi, this is Sprinkle. Good Friday afternoon. Check it out. It's a sunshine-filled day today as we take a view from Monroe all the way over to Lake Norman. Looking good right there. Over in K-Town and Kannapolis and uptown Charlotte. A few fair weather clouds out there. It was a bitterly cold morning this morning. Low temperature over in Albemarle and Stanley County dropped to 12 degrees there. It hit 15 in Monroe, Union County. It was 17 this morning in Lincoln. Boone dropped to 16 degrees. Jefferson 12. And in those areas with the wind chill felt like about 0 there. And a low officially in Charlotte, 19 degrees this morning. That's a whole different situation tomorrow. Clouds are going to move in. It's going to keep those temperatures pretty moderate compared to this morning. Our low should be tomorrow morning compared to about 19 degrees, about 35. 35 overnight to the Concord. It'll top out today in the mid-40s over there. Low about 27 at Boone tonight, right around 33 over Chester, and right at the freezing mark over in Anson County and Wadesboro, North Carolina. For today, we're talking about temperatures locally for the most part, mid to upper 40s up in the mountains. 35 for a high temperature. Hour by hour around 3 o'clock this afternoon, mid 40s around 7 p.m. If you're out and about under moonlit skies, fair skies, we're looking at about 40 degrees at that time. Winds today, it'll be rather breezy. We're not talking about anything exceptional. We're talking about winds maybe gusting up to about 20, 25 miles per hour right into the afternoon. Across the region today, it's going to be sunny. It's going to be chilly. Tomorrow, early rain chance in the morning. That's all rain. And then Sunday, there could be a wintry mix, a few flurries packed in there. Not talking about anything of any magnitude. There's some excitement for sure. We'll take a look at Futurecast and show you what's going on Futurecast-wise. This Sunday morning at 8 a.m., that's model number 1. Model number 2 does include some precipitation, and across the Charlotte area, maybe kind of a wintry mix in there. Could be a few snowflakes. So difference in the two models always has been, always will be. So we're not talking about a lot of accumulation of trace to maybe a 1/10 of an inch. That's not very much. I think as you go up towards the northeast, if you're up towards Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, that area.
Hey, we're going to actually break into your forecast here because this is some breaking news out of Utah. The suspect in the murder of Charlie Kirk is making an appearance in court.
Potential consequences of any willful violation of the court's December 23, 2025 standing decorum order. Under Utah Code Section 78B-6-310, if the court finds a person guilty of contempt, the court may impose a fine of up to $1,000, order incarceration in the county jail for up to 30 days, or both. Any alleged violation will be carefully evaluated, and the court will impose only those sanctions which are appropriate and proportional under the circumstances. The court will make specific findings on the record before imposing any sanction. In addition, the court may impose the following remedial measures if warranted. First, immediate suspension of video transmission of the hearing, with proceedings continuing on audio-only basis for the proceeding where the violation occurred, and disqualification, if necessary and narrowly tailored, of the news organization that filed the request in order for electronic media coverage of court proceedings for the hearing in which the violation occurred from providing pool camera operator services in this matter, where the court determines that such a measure is required to ensure compliance with a standing decorum order and to protect the rights of the parties. Counsel will be allowed to provide their input before the court makes any final determination regarding sanctions. I want to emphasize that these measures are not intended to have a chilling effect on open and transparent courts or on responsible news gathering, and the court remains fully committed to the presumption of open proceedings under applicable rules. Rather, they're intended to protect the constitutional rights of all parties while preserving the integrity, openness, and fairness of these proceedings. Third, at this time I wish to address the camera operator. Mr. Yulberg, if you wouldn't mind coming forward and standing at the lectern. And could you state your name for the record?
John Yulberg.
Thank you, Mr. Yulberg. It's not my intention to cause you any embarrassment or discomfort. I simply want to ensure that the guidelines for today's proceedings are clear. Mr. Yulberg, during today's hearing, what is your primary role?
To provide video coverage of the proceedings for the public.
All right. Have you read the December 23rd, 2025 standing decorum order?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand the guidelines as they relate to your responsibilities today?
I do.
Do you need any additional time to review the December 23rd, 2025 standing decorum order, or any time to reposition the camera to ensure full compliance with those guidelines?
Do I need more time? I'm sorry, was that the question?
Do you need more time to review the decorum order? And I'll pause there because that was a compound question. Sorry about that.
No, I've read it, I fully understand it, I'm good to go.
All right, to the second part, do you need any additional time to reposition the camera to ensure full compliance with those guidelines?
No, I think we're in a good position now.
All right. Mr. Yulberg, do you anticipate any difficulties complying with the December 23rd, 2025 standing decorum order?
I do not anticipate any problems.
All right, and is there anything that the court can clarify to assist you?
No, I think we're good to go, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yulberg.
Thank you.
Before I let you go, I'll turn to counsel based off the questions asked. I turn to you if you have any input or questions.
Nothing from the state.
Thank you.
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right. And the court, I appreciate your cooperation, and it's my hope that we all do our very best today together.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And finally, before we turn to the issue, the motion before the court, to the state, could you please provide a brief update on the status of discovery disclosure?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't have the percentage of materials that we have that have been disclosed, but I think we're above 90% at this point. There still is discovery coming in, there are reports and so forth coming in from various entities. So I think we're moving expeditiously towards completing at least this initial batch of discovery. Of course, discovery will be ongoing probably for the duration of the proceeding, but we have provided nearly all of what we have today.
All right. And to defense, any input?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Nestor. All right. Thank you, counsel, for your patience as the court covered those preliminary issues. Let's turn to the defense's motion to disqualify the Utah County Attorney's Office. Ms. Nestor, Mr. Novak.
That's fine, Your Honor. That's okay. We actually have some preliminary things we want to discuss with respect to the posture of this motion. And I also think at some point the court needs to decide at what stage the hearing on this motion remains open and becomes closed. So I'm going to bear that in mind in terms of my preliminary statements, if I may. When we filed this motion to disqualify, and when I say we, I mean Mr. Robinson's counsel, we fully expected that what the Utah County attorneys would do is refer the motion to the Attorney General's office so that the Utah County attorneys are not in the position of representing their own interests as potentially conflicted attorneys in a potentially conflicted office and representing the state's interest in the prosecution. We heard informally from the state's attorneys that they were preparing a response and when it would be provided. And then what we received, and again I'm bearing in mind that we're in an open hearing at the moment, was a brief where I'm going to say the unsworn representations of two attorneys from that office are basically integrated into points and authorities. We don't have affidavits from Mr. Gray or from the other attorney. We have argument. We noted in our reply that we were surprised, that's in footnote 2 at page 4, that the Utah County attorneys were representing themselves in connection with a motion alleging that they have a conflict of interest and that the state was not being represented through the Attorney General's office. We did some further research on this, and you know, we have some case law that we can provide the court. I suspect that the court is very familiar with the fact, just from its own experience, that in appropriate circumstances, the Attorney General's office can either, one, represent the state in what was a county prosecution with respect to a disqualification motion so that the boundaries are clear, or if there's an ultimate finding or conclusion that there's a conflict of interest, take over the prosecution or assign it to another county. So we're very concerned that we're getting off on the wrong foot, if I can use that metaphor, because we have officers of the court who are both representing their own interests in continuing to be the prosecutors in this case and representing the state in a situation where there should be what I would call, at least temporarily, conflict counsel. I'm not sure that's the term the Attorney General uses, representing the state's interests. There's a Supreme Court decision which is called State v. Jimenez, Jimenez, which I can provide a citation for. There are subsequent cases, but it's pretty clear that this is the type of a case. I'm not saying that Jimenez compels that action, but it seems to me to strongly suggest that where there is a showing, I'm not sure what the threshold showing is. I don't want to say it's a prima facie showing or a reasonable concern, but where there's a showing that there very well may be a conflict of interest that hasn't been handled by a particular state attorney's, county attorney's office, that what's in the interest of the litigation, of the public, of the parties, is for the Attorney General to step in. And the citation for State v. Jimenez, if I may, is 588 P. 2nd 707. Of course, I can provide the court with the Utah citation as well. This court actually has the authority under that case, State v. Jimenez, to direct the Attorney General to step in, not for the entire case at this stage, that's not what we're saying is necessary, because that requires a finding of a conflict of interest, but to step in or to designate somebody to step in for the purposes of litigating that motion. And so we're very concerned that even going forward with an evidentiary hearing where members of the Utah County Attorney's Office are both litigating as representatives of the state in the prosecution and essentially defending their own propriety of proceeding in this prosecution is problematic. As far as being prepared, we're of course prepared to go forward with an evidentiary hearing, but we think that it's improvident, and we think that what the court should do, if the Utah County attorneys have not or don't, if given the opportunity, do this on their own, is that the court should designate the Attorney General's office for the purpose of litigating this motion. The court might ask, hypothetically, the question, has the Utah County Attorney's Office conferred with the Attorney General about this particular question? And we are not in the dark, because as Ms. Nestor will tell the court, as an officer of the court, she's spoken with the Attorney General's office, and they have not been consulted about this. Okay? So this is a motion to disqualify county attorney's office based on what we believe is a material, significant conflict of interest that it's clear they haven't even tried to address by way of a screening, which of course is a term of art, because their position is no screening was necessary. We're not even here to discuss whether the way in which a particular attorney was screened off was adequate. Their position as their own advocates is we've already decided no screening is necessary. So we've been told by the Attorney General's office, Ms. Nestor can represent to the court exactly what she was told, but basically that there has not been consultation. And while that is Mr. Gray's prerogative, we think it's wrong, and we think that this court needs to exercise its authority to intervene and say, in this case, for this kind of a motion, the court needs to hear from a representative of the state who does not even appear to have a conflict of interest. So that's our preliminary statement about these issues. And again, I hope I've avoided saying anything that should have been said in a closed hearing. I think I was pretty good about that. So that's where we are before we even get into the litigation of it. And I don't want to be formalistic, and I'm certainly not trying to be confrontational, but I think actually what we think the court should do is the court should strike the Utah County Attorney's response to our motion and direct the Attorney General to take up the responsibility for responding to our motion in whichever way clearly non-conflicted attorneys representing the state think they should, how it should be responded to. And if I've muddled, I always say this, Chairman, if I've muddled anything or confused anything, please say so and I'll try to clarify.
Thank you. I do have some questions for you as it relates to this. I wish to consider all the authority that you wish to cite to. I mean, obviously you came into this hearing knowing that this is something you're going to present. And this court wants to be efficient with time, but thorough.
Yes.
And not jumping to conclusions. Can you give me all the authority that you wish for me to consider in considering your request today?
Yes, and I think what we could also do, which maybe would be more helpful to the court, is that we could file a short brief on this particular issue, because I will acknowledge that while we were surprised that the brief was filed by the same lawyers who are alleged to have this conflict of interest, it took us a little bit of time and we wanted to get that filed in time for today's hearing because the court set the hearing. It took us a little bit of time to think through these issues. So there are Utah authorities, there are authorities from other jurisdictions, there are also ABA guidelines on the prosecutorial function, which we think strongly suggest that there should have been what I'll just call a referral to the Attorney General's office for this particular motion. I can stand here and I can give the court case names and numbers and sections from the ABA standards, but it was not our goal to, of course, put the court on the spot and require the court to, like, go back into chambers, think about it for, some pressured period of time and come back out and make a decision. So if it would benefit the court for us to file something, and I don't mean in a month, I mean very soon, so that the court has thoughtfully presented points and authorities, we're happy.
All right, we're going to come right back out to this in a little bit, but taking a quick break. Back here in 2 minutes with more from Utah. Welcome back to Live Impact News, almost 3:30 on your Friday afternoon. We're going to get right back out to this live event happening out of Utah. The suspect in the murder of Charlie Kirk is in court now.
Prosecutorial authority, which, as I've done further research, and Mr. Bird and Ms. Visser and Ms. Nestor and I have all done further research, literally up until earlier this morning, we think it's pretty clear that this court has the authority to make that, I'm going to call it a referral. I think it's an order referring it to the Attorney General if the Utah County attorneys choose not to do so. And the additional information which we did receive today, I'll just tell you that, was that there had not been any communication between the county attorneys and the Attorney General's office concerning this issue. So I'll fall on my sword. If the court thinks I should be sanctioned for not bringing this up sooner, I hear the court. But we are we're juggling many aspects of this case all at the same time, some of which the court is aware of, some of which the court probably is not aware of. But the court can imagine.
No, and I appreciate that. It's not the intent to sanction you. I understand that issues come up, and there's a lot going on, and so the court appreciates your candor and representation today. So these items can evolve, and so the court is not finding fault with you. It's just hoping that, as it requires a lot of time and resources for you and for fellow attorneys and for the opposing party and for other parties, we just might want to make sure we make the best use of our time when we're together.
I hear everything the court is saying. I take it to heart. I understand what the court's saying, and we are cognizant of the time that the court devotes to preparation for these hearings. So that's all I can really say.
That's right. And also for Mr. Robinson himself and the victim representative, Ms. Kirk as well. We just want to do our best, and I understand, and I'm not finding fault with you, sir, or your team. We've all been in court. We all know what happened, so I understand. I'll turn to the state. Oh, and I'm sorry. Is there anything further that you wish to represent?
No, I could provide the court with more citations, but I'm just wondering if that's really the best way to give the court a list of verbal citations. I think with all consideration for, and we probably have, with all consideration for the fact that the court wants to be thorough and careful, and we do as well. We don't want to shoot from the hip, but I think that we just decided that this was something that we needed to bring to the court's attention in a much more fulsome way once we understood not only the way this was developing, but frankly the way the Utah Supreme Court, the ABA guidelines, courts of appeals subsequent to State v. Jimenez, and the information that we received today from the Attorney General's office, which isn't a secret. It's just we had a conversation and we learned that there hadn't been any consultation. If there had been consultation and the Attorney General had said, no, we think you're good to go, then that would be different. And that's what we learned this morning.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and take those authorities right now. If you'd like to list them, the court is ready.
So the second one would be State v. Robertson, and that is also a Utah case, 886 P. 2nd 85. There's the ABA prosecution standards. I would refer the court to section 3.1.7 and 3.2.5. And those are, I think, the places to start.
Is there any Utah rule on point that addresses this issue?
So the case of State v. Jimenez, which I referred to, which is the Supreme Court, does actually cite a statute.
Anything further that you wish for this court to consider at this point in the proceeding as it relates to this issue?
No, and depending upon the statements of counsel, we may have some response if the court permits it.
Of course. Thank you. Turning to the state, Mr. Gray.
Your Honor, I'm not sure why this is coming before us today. If it was such a surprise to them more than a week ago, I don't know why they wouldn't at least notify the court. I too represent the state. I'm an elected official, constitutionally elected to represent the state. Where does this end? I don't know these cases. I'm very interested to see whether or not they refer to trials. I know that the Utah Attorney General's office, they've done the same thing that we have in Rule 11 motions, where one counsel on the team examines their boss, in fact, on the matter. So I just think this is ambush and another stalling tactic to delay these proceedings. There's no reason that they could not have at least filed the motion and asked for time to brief it. And where does it end? Do we get to respond to their motion to have the Attorney General's office respond, or does the Attorney General's office have to respond to that one too? I'm not, well, anyway, I've stated my, it should have been done far earlier if that was their case, if that was their claim. And if I could just turn the time over to Ryan in case he has something else.
Thank you, Mr. Gray.
Mr. Ryan. And excuse me, this is, we're tag teaming this somewhat because it's a surprise to us as it is to the court. But in the 5 minutes I've had to read Robertson and Jimenez, which could have been provided to me before this hearing, it looks like those cases don't stand for conflict of interest cases. They're actually, does the Attorney General's office have authority to prosecute cases that occur within a prosecution district or county attorney's jurisdiction? And the answer is yes. It's not about taking conflicts. From the few minutes I've had to read those cases, I do want to state this is, of course, the first time this has been raised to us. The defense has known that we were going to respond to this motion for some time. We requested an extension for our filing deadline back in December. The defense agreed to that extension. Our reply was filed January 5th. The defendant's reply was filed thereafter. And in that reply, the tone of that reply is mentions that they thought that perhaps a special prosecutor would be appointed to handle the conflict case, but in the alternative says we'll be able to, we want to subpoena witnesses to establish the facts that are laid out in the state's opposition motion or memorandum. And that was what we understood was going to happen today. You have a family member of a prosecutor who has been subpoenaed. An affidavit has been supplied to the court. We believe that affidavit is adequate, but it wasn't adequate from the defense perspective, so they subpoenaed that person. Prosecutors have been subpoenaed for today's hearing. We have 2 investigators that have been subpoenaed for today's hearing. And we are ready to go, Your Honor. I think that the motion or the request the defense has made assumes that a conflict does exist and that there's an inability of the party who has been accused of a conflict to defend themselves. And I just don't think that that's true. If there is a conflict, which is the question that this court is to decide, the case will be referred. Until that conflict has been established, the case is properly in the jurisdiction that has statutory authority over that offense. And until that conflict has been established, the Utah County Attorney's Office has this case and can defend its involvement in this case. I got just a moment to review my notes and see if there's other points we want to make on this.
Of course.
There is one other point I wanted to make, which is the idea that the case would be referred, that alleging a conflict would cause a special prosecutor to be appointed. that really assumes that there is a conflict. And until that conflict has been established, there is no duty for the case to be referred to another jurisdiction or another special prosecutor to handle. And it raises some of the issues that have been brought up in some of the case law regarding creating or alleging conflicts. There's a lot of case law that talks about how it can be a tactic to try and remove cases from one prosecutor's authority to find a more lenient prosecutor, find a more favorable prosecuting authority that's not going to seek, for example, in this case, the death penalty. And there's a lot of case law that talks about you can't call opposing counsel as a witness in a case unless they're absolutely necessary. And the reason is because it can be a forum shopping effort. And we're concerned with that same kind of motivation or tactic that could be used in this case or other cases like it. Anytime you, as opposing counsel, you don't like the offer you're getting, the way the prosecution is being handled, you allege a conflict of interest, and all of a sudden the county attorney's office has to spend $10,000 to hire a special prosecutor just to handle that one issue, regardless of whether or not it's supported or whether or not a conflict exists. That's a concern we have. Now, we're ready to go forward today. We think the evidence that will be presented today will illuminate the issues adequate that Your Honor can make a decision about whether or not a conflict exists, and we don't need to delay this proceeding any further. We're confident the court will see the facts as they are and be able to make that determination.
Mr. McBride, so the motion has been made by defense to continue this hearing to allow the filing of a motion addressing more fully this issue. And to that request, what is the state's reply?
We object to that motion to continue or to strike. We ask the court to go forward today. We think the motion is untimely. The prosecution has subpoenaed witnesses, and every delay that happens, the witnesses that we have now family members of the prosecution being subpoenaed. These people are ready to move forward and get this out of the way. The longer we delay this, the more anxiety that this procedure has.
All right, thank you, Mr. McBride. To defense, any response?
Yes, John, thank you. First, I want to say this is not about seeking a lenient prosecutor. This is not about tactics at all. And it was actually the county attorney's office who informed us back in October that there was a family member of a prosecutor who was present at Utah Valley University at the Charlie Kirk rally and experienced and witnessed certain things. We didn't make this up out of whole cloth. We didn't grab onto some piece of discovery and say, a wedge, a tactic.
Hey, we're going to take another quick break. You've been listening in out of Utah of the court appearance of the suspect in the murder of Charlie Kirk, but we are also waiting President Trump to speak, so we're going to take a break and get back out to whatever's happening live. Stick with us. Welcome back to Live Impact News. Just approaching 3:40, and we are getting some movement here on this event with President Donald Trump out of Palm Beach. I believe he's about to be up at the podium any minute now. Take a listen.
Our state needs more servant leaders that care. And I'm here because President Trump spoke common sense when common sense was completely under attack. So I'm so grateful to be a warrior here for you, sir, and to have honestly, I never thought I'd be in this role. Just a mom rescuing a lot of animals and listening to you speak, President Trump. You speak common sense. You speak exactly what the people want and have been wanting to hear for many, many years. Thank you. Thank you. When I first filed the language, though, I was told it wasn't allowed, that we couldn't do this. But I am the youngest of 4, and my father did coin me the nudge, so it served me well in the Florida House determination. I will have to tell you that it was not just me. There were so many members that, we would kind of have, the bill naming, the process is so interesting. It was first my bill, it rolls into the road naming bill, and from there it goes to the House and the Senate. So there's so many people that are involved. Speaker Perez, you're such an incredible supporter. And in fact, in your inaugural remarks, you said this is a member-driven process, and this is exactly what this is, a member-driven process. This was exactly how it played out. We had Representative Nix, Representative Brannon, Senator President Albritton in the Senate, and other senators, and so many members and staff that really worked hard to make this happen. I'm a woman of faith, and I want to say Romans 13:7 says, "Give honor and respect to all those whom it is due." And President Trump, today we're doing exactly that. We need to honor and respect you and your family for everything that you have done for us in our country. So thank you. I want to thank you to all the officials that voted and helped make this happen. It doesn't just even happen in the state. As I learned as a freshman, you have to then go through many municipalities, which was a learning process for me as well. But I want to thank my staff, Kate, Lex, and Alexander. You guys are all rock stars. I'm so grateful to have you part of my team. President Donald J. Trump Boulevard now stands as a permanent reminder for courage, leadership, and unapologetic patriotism. I am proud to have played a role in to make that happen. And I'm looking forward to the airport where greatness takes off. You like that? Where greatness takes off? It is truly my honor to introduce the most incredible president of our lifetime, President Donald J. Trump.
That is something that's very special. That was a beautiful introduction, and it was from the heart. I could see that. Sometimes I get introduced not from the heart. We know that. We know about that, Danny. But this was amazing to see so many dignitaries, political leaders from Florida and beyond. It's really nice. Ooh, that looks very nice that you're carrying it. That's beautiful. Thank you. Wow. That's the real deal. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. All top people in this room, really amazing people. And we have a lot of media back there. We appreciate you're here. We very much appreciate that you're here. See, I'm being nice today to the media. I think I have. But a very special thanks to State Representative Meg Weinberger. The job she's doing is amazing. And she's going to do very well politically. I used to tell her, I don't know, that's a tough race, but go do it. And she did it, and she won. And a lot of people didn't think she was going to be able to win, beating people that were doing it for a long time. You weren't doing it for a long time, but you've become a veteran very fast, and you've done very well. Congratulations. We appreciate it. They call her MAGA Meg. And now when you have that, you can never lose a race. You can't lose. People just didn't understand that you can't lose a race, right, with that. Thank you, darling. And where's your husband, by the way? Where is he, Eric?
My arm candy.
Well, Great job. Thank you very much for that reference. That was a very important reference. Thank you, Eric, very much. And speaking of Eric, I have Eric Trump right here, who's a great guy. He's a great young guy, and he's done a fantastic job. When I'm away, I don't know, I look at, I see things happening all over the world, and the whole family has been so terrific, but Eric has been right there at the front, and I appreciate it very much. He's a great boy. We love that boy. We love that boy. Thank you, honey. Appreciate it. And I'm thrilled to be back in my home state of Florida, and this truly incredible privilege. I moved down here. I love New York, but it was just worked that way. And we won Florida so much and by so big, and it continues. Just continues. We even have Club 47 here. Look at these representatives. Used to be Club 45. Then they said, I think we're going to change it to Club 47, and we're having a good time. Let me tell you, we're doing a job for our country. We're saving our country, because if they would have gotten in, this country would have been a place known as Venezuela on steroids. It would have been in big trouble. So we did a job, and so many of the people, Gina, so many of the people in the room, they helped so much. It's incredible. So I'm tremendously honored that the main boulevard from Palm Beach International Airport to the beautiful Mar-a-Lago is being renamed in my honor. That's a very important stretch. A lot of people, a lot of important people, and I don't care if they're important or not, but important and not important people travel on that road. But I love the people of Florida. I love the entire Palm Beach area. I've been here for a long time, and I want to thank you all for being here. I'll remember this amazing gesture for the rest of my life, and in particular Meg and Eric and all of the people that work so hard for this. I also want to thank a man who's amazing. He's an administrator. He's one of the most talented people in the country at what he does. Joe Abruzzo, he's here someplace. Joe, what a talented guy. There's nobody better in the whole country at what he does, and what he does is not easy. But everybody respects him, and everybody listens to him, and he's got great values, but he's got a great sense of design and everything else that you need. You need a lot of capability in that job, and you have every bit of it. Thank you, Joe, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. And who is that young lady? Thank you very much. Fantastic. It's good to have you both. Let me also express my gratitude to all of the members of the Florida House, many of whom I've gotten to know over the years, and the Senate, incredible people. I mean, literally incredible people who united behind the legislation granting me this great honor, including the Speaker of the House, Danny Perez, who I think has a hell of a future. I don't know what you're doing, Danny, but what a future. Wow. Because he has an unlimited political future, but whatever you choose, I'm behind you 100%. You know that. Danny, thank you for a great job. Great job. And State Senator President Ben Albritton, I want to thank you, Ben. Good job you're doing. Everybody's respected in this group. You know, they get along down in Florida, although I can't say that's necessarily always the case. I guess you probably have a couple of people that you're maybe not as friendly with, but you are great people. Ben, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Along with state representatives Danny Nix, Chuck Brannon, Chip LaMarca, Mike Redondo, Juan Carlos Porras, and State Senator Debbie Mayfield. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we're also pleased to be joined by many distinguished guests, including Congressman, a friend of mine for a long time, Brian Mast. Thank you, Brian. What a great guy. People love that guy. And another friend of mine, and somebody, I mean, you talk about attorney generals, there's no better attorney general than this one. He better win this race, because I think he's going to. I'm 407-0, and I gave him my strongest endorsement. And James Uthmeyer. So where is James? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're doing good. How are the polls doing? Pretty good? It's a blowout, but let's not say that. Let's say you're winning by one or losing by one. Doesn't make any difference. Get them out to vote, right? It was an honor to endorse you, and congratulations. Doing a great job. And I want to thank Ron, too, because Ron has been really behind this with Meg and everybody else, and we did have his back at 100%. I appreciate it. And it's a great honor. Thank you very much. See you. Florida Agricultural Commissioner Wilton Simpson, who I've been with for a long time, right? I've been with him for a long time. And I appreciate it. Thanks, Wilton. Appreciate it very much. Executive Director of the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles, Dave Kerner, who had so much to do with this. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Mayor of Palm Beach, Danielle Moore. She was a terrific woman. Where is Danielle? Thank you, Danielle. We're working on a little project. Nice, beautiful, clean, crisp water, right? And she's leading it, and she's incredible, just like her mother was incredible. And is. Oh, where's Mom? I want to see Mom. Oh, you look good. You look very good. I haven't seen a former mayor of Palm Beach and highly respected. Who's respected more, you or your mother? I don't know. It's pretty close, right? You're pretty close. She says Mom is respected more. That's good. A daughter better say that, right? Thank you, darling. Appreciate it. That's great. Thank you, Danielle. Glad you told me she was here. Former Mayor Leslie Smith is here, who's great and a formerly very good golfer. I think she's still a good golfer. Leslie, where's Leslie? Leslie? Thank you very much, Leslie. Thank you. Thank you, darling. I appreciate it. We've known each other for a long time. Incredible people. And the members of the Palm Beach Town Council are here. Thank you all very much. You do a great job. You love the town. I love the town, too. Well, I had a lot of choice on towns. And I said, this is the town I want to be in. So we all love it. And it's an honor to have saved Mar-a-Lago. You know, most of these great houses went down. They went down rapidly. And they were subdivided into 25 homes, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll tell you what, this was an honor. But they like me because I saved the house. Somebody said they like me because you're a great president, but they like you more because I saved Mar-a-Lago. Saving Mar-a-Lago was to them more important. Thank you very much. I like you. Thank you very much. Mayor of Palm Beach County, who I endorsed, by the way, Sarah Baxter. Sarah? Hi, Sarah. Congratulations, Sarah. So we're at 407-0. We have to make sure that you're going to, but I think it's going to work out very well. Congratulations. You had so many people that said, you got to be with her. I said, I am. So good luck with the election. I know it's going to work out very well. Thank you. Good luck. The members of the County Commission and the West Palm Beach City Commission, who are unbelievable people. They love the area. They work hard and they're good. Where are you? Can you raise your hands a little bit? Great. Thank you. Thank you. Great job you're doing. You know, we're all working together at this place. We're working on a little water project, and if we can get the water perfect, that'll be great. Mayor, you're heading it up from this part of the world, and I know they're working in West Palm Beach in the area, and we'll see whether it's desalinization or filtering. There's a couple of different ways we can do it. But whatever we can do, I think it would be great. We're working along with West Palm Beach also, so thank you, and thank you, Mayor. Dan Newland is here, and Gina Loudon is here, and Linda Soch is here, and Larry and Sue Snowden are here. Thank you, Larry and Sue. Thank you. And basically, just sort of like everybody's here, and it's really something special. We're pleased to be in the same legislation as it renames another section of Southern Boulevard, and a very nice section indeed. I know it well, in honor of 3 brave motorcycle deputies from the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office who were killed last year in a horrific accident. Horrible. It was a horrible situation. But I saw so much love. I saw everybody in this room was there, plus. We had a ceremony in honor of these 3 incredible people. Corporal Luis Paez Jr., who is just, Luis Paez was somebody who was loved and respected by so many people. They all said, thank you for being there in honor of her. And Deputy Sheriff Ralph Butch Waller Jr. and Deputy Sheriff Ignacio Dan Diaz. The 3 of them, what happened to them, this was unbelievable. The ceremony was one of the most beautiful and saddest ceremonies that I've ever attended. but I was deeply honored to be there. On May 1st, I bestowed the honor of first ever. These were medals that were worked on by my son, Eric, very hard. We had a great jeweler. Can I say the name of the jeweler? Tiffany. And they came up with a really incredible medal. And it's called the Medals of Sacrifice. And they did a beautiful job. And it was really led by Eric Trump. So I want to thank you, Eric, too. Yeah, thank you. And unfortunately, when certain events happen like that, and they do happen, they shouldn't happen, but they do happen, we're going to do the medal ceremony, and it's going to be something special. So today we pay tribute to them and to those, to the loved ones. Some of their family members are here. We love their family members, what they went through. Those deputies will live in our hearts forever, and Florida will remember them always with the PBSO Motorman Highway. PBSO Motorman Highway, it's great, beautiful thing. I'm going to see it every time I go up that road. Today's dedication ceremony for President Donald J. Trump Boulevard is special meaning to me because I've always had the unique bond with the great state of Florida. We had tremendous success here. I've been part of the community for more than 40 years. We won big here in Florida all 3 times. We set every record every time. And in 2024, we swept 61 of 67 Florida counties. Nobody's ever done that, and carried the state by almost 2 million votes, which is the record. And then I was followed also, from the governor's standpoint, with Ron, who did fantastically also. And we really, we've turned this state, there are a few Democrats in this room, I don't want to get into this, but we've turned the state extraordinarily red, I would say, wouldn't you say? You'll find out. You're going to see. But over the past 12 months, Florida's trust and confidence has really paid off because you made a correct choice. 1 year ago, we were, I say it, dead country. The king of Saudi Arabia, I was over in Saudi Arabia getting money for the country. He put up $2 trillion. Gave us, I'd like to invest in the United States, $2 trillion. It's a lot of money. And then I went to Qatar, $2 trillion. And I went to the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed, $2 trillion. So we took in $6 trillion. That's why we have 18, because we got 6 from 3 countries. That helps, right? Laura, is that right? Hi, Laura. Boy, you are something. What spirit you have. Laura Loomer, thank you, honey, for being here. I appreciate it. She's, you know, she can be a little nasty, but to me, she's always nice. So that's all that matters. I want her to stay that way, too. But I was over there, and he looked at me, the king of Saudi Arabia. He said, you know, I can't believe it. This was a few months ago. Took back all that money for the country. He said, I can't believe this is happening because 1 year ago, you were a dead country, and now you're the hottest country in the world. And I use that quote all over. And it's true. We were a dead country, and now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're taking in more income than any country. We're doing better than any country. The stock market's doing better than anyone's ever seen before. We have the best stock market we've ever seen. 401ks are doing better than they've ever done before. They're up 78% in many cases. But starting on day one, we fully secured our Southern Boulevard and stopped and think of it, as we were securing Southern Boulevard, making Florida great, we're also securing a thing called the Southern Border and making that great, and we stopped the invasion of our country. So Florida's been ahead of their time. Florida was ahead, it led the way, but we stopped this was an invasion on our border. And you know, I don't know if this is correct because it can't be correct, it's too good. But for the last 8 months, there have been no people that came into our country illegally. Now, I don't know if that's possible. How do you go from 25 million people in 4 years to 0 people? But the people, Wilton, the people that report this are Democrats. So it must be true. I mean, but it's like